thought it was about the dogs. Nah, it's about power. Yeah. Put up to the specialty, sunrise on the ground. Dogs in the grooming tents, whispers all around. Catalog smiles with the tension in the air. Every handshake got a hidden little snare. Bored in the back room, running quiet little schemes. Bylaws in the pocket like a stack of poker dreams. Players for the breed, but they guarding their throne. If you question anything, they coming for your bone. Grievance in the envelope, certified mail. Club justice system, but the deck.
Welcome back, everybody. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Okay, so roughly. Okay, so let's see. Okay, this is what he said. So the guy we watched yesterday, he doesn't believe in the 4 quadrants. He corrects over. Thought so. He was correcting for looking. Okay, very little talk and praise, no food for sure. Okay. All right, the Miracle Canine, say roughly the title. Okay, 156. All right, I'm going to look that up, or we'll watch it, because I got to see what this guy is talking about. Oh, this, okay. Let's see. Read the comments. Everyone is confused. Okay. 156. Let's look. Okay. Live. Okay. Got it. So let's share screen. This one, right? Everyone is confused. Every comment is confusion. Okay. Let's see. Let's read the comments real quick. I hope David provides a better clarity to dogs he trains than he did to me. Oh, wait. He trained somebody's dogs. Okay. He trained somebody's dog. Okay. The guy would have been a good character on Seinfeld. Oh my God. I love Seinfeld though. Okay. The word salad guy. Oh, right. That's a fucking great. Excedrin. Oh no, get out your Excedrin. Okay, well, I have a whole bottle, and it's extra strength rapid release of Tylenol. I was hurt, watched it 3 times, and I was still, oh no. I want to thank David for having me on his podcast. Oh, he wrote, this is his comment. Okay, in my opinion, this represents what having a debate, especially considering what is happening within the dog training community, should be. While we can agree to disagree on some of the issues, I have total respect for David. I feel that this is the type of debate that someone could watch several times and leave with something new each time, probably because nobody understands what the fuck he's talking about, right? Which speaks to David's ability to engage. Thank you again, David, for having me on. Oh my God. If this is his comment, yep, this is him. He doesn't like other people's ideas. He just talks. Okay. You're more patient than me, man. I feel Dale talks in circles with no clear, concise answers to any question asked. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, for me, a trait of a good trainer is being able to clarify something in a simple way for people to understand and adapting to the client in front of them. Exactly. While still having the knowledge to be able to go into depth if they are interested. And a second trait is patience. I am only 30 minutes in, and you can tell David is showing both of these qualities and handling this interview amazingly well. I work in Cambodia, and I don't think Dale's explanation would translate too well and likely cause more confusion. Seems like a respectful guy, though. Appreciate David and Josh for another podcast. Well, this is the thing. He's a cop, right? So he has to be respectful. I think he can use that as being a cop and still understanding how to be respectful, but still not understand how to articulate what he's actually doing, right? I mean, that makes sense that he can be respectful because he's an ex-cop. Okay, it took me 2 watches to get he doesn't want dogs thinking. Yeah, see, I feel that. See, I kind of got that from his last thing. He goes so many different directions. Okay, let's watch it. How long is it? Oh my God, it's 2 hours. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to come back tomorrow and do what I was gonna do because I'm interested. I want to see what this is. Like it's ADHD, lost a thought, and everywhere, all at once. Oh no! I wish Canine was here. We would love. He would love this. Yeah, he's painting, so I think that, um, yeah, he'd probably lose his mind. I think he's taking a step back from all this dog stuff. Yeah, I know he's having a real hard time with all this stuff going on right now.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Dog Trainer Podcast, episode 156. Today we're being joined by Dale McCluskey, the long-awaited conversation. Let's get him on. Looks like he's in the waiting room. Morning. How are you?
Good, David. How are you?
Hanging in there.
That's good. Thanks for having me on.
Happy to. I'm excited to have this conversation. I know it started off a little back and forth, obviously, as it always does via YouTube comments and stuff, but I'm happy that we're able to make it happen, and I'm excited to
appreciate that.
Get in the conversation here and just kind of get a little bit of a feel for,
Why don't they have them on the screen at the same time instead of this back and forth look?
What your, what some of your stances really are, and kind of dive into them and, see where, we disagree, see where we might agree on things, and see if we can get everybody a little bit better of an understanding of where people are kind of at in this industry. So,
okay.
Why don't you kind of start off by, giving everybody a little bit of a background? I believe I saw you were a police canine handler, if that's correct.
But yeah, David, police canine. I have over 30 years experience training dogs. So my background is police canine. Started our department, police canine department's first canine unit, and with Ruben, first police dog. And so from there, working with the local prisons, so we shared services. So this is back in 1993. So this is a little while ago. And so from there,
But what was his training? He's Canadian too? Canine would love this guy. Oh no, Canine would not love this guy. I can tell you that. Okay, but what is his training? So he says that the canine was the first in his department. So what was his training for the department is what I'd like to know, because they have to go through special training. It's not like they just get a dog and here you go, right? Like there's a lot of steps to it. So I'd like to know, like did he just pick up, a Kohler book and, go through the steps? Did he get Lieberg 1993? He could have got the Lieberg training videos. I mean, I'd like to know what his training is.
Transitioning from, so for again, my background awards, I don't get into a lot of this, I don't market myself as what, but I believe we still hold the award for having the youngest police dog make a street level drug find in Canada.
This is why I love you. You're so funny, right?
So that's an article.
Yeah.
It's on my thing. And so, yeah, we still hold the award for having the youngest police dog make a street level drug find in Canada. So that's an article.
Yeah.
It's on my thing. And so, yeah, so from there, going from the relationship with Ruben, and this is where really the system of training really developed is the question is, what is it really about? What's a process, again, coming from police canine into the public realm, just average dog owners, and looking around and saying, okay, there's something wrong here right away. There's something wrong here. Why is it that so many people are struggling, continue to struggle in the relationship with the dogs, even after investing time and money into this very popular idea that training is a learning-based exercise. Understand that's the whole focus of, of what I'm showing is the problem in the dog training world. Because here's the thing, and I'll keep coming back to this, once a relationship problem is already underway between the dog and owner, because you have to ask yourself the question, why is a dog owner coming to a dog owner for help in the first place?
Because normally they were lazy, let the dog get away with shit at 8 weeks because they thought it was cute. And then by the time it's 8 months old, it's uncontrollable because they were lazy. They allowed it to get away with stuff, and then they didn't train it. They didn't work with it. They didn't do anything. And now they're coming to you needing help because they didn't do anything with the dog. And now the dog's not out of control, and they need help getting the dog under control that they didn't do while a puppy, while the dog was malleable, while the dog was in the house doing the shit. It's no different than Chihuahuas. Everybody thinks it's so fucking cute that a Chihuahua is sitting there snapping, biting, doing all this funny stuff while they're holding it on the couch, and it's like snapping, biting, doing all this shit until the dog is doing it to everyone and out of control. And then all of a sudden the dog is, biting at your nose, your lips, your ears, whatever. And now they're like, it won't stop biting everything, including the baby. Now it's out of control. Now they need help. Or that the little puppy that, is, 18 pounds and it's all cute and everything until it's 80 pounds and doing it. Now they're coming to you needing help because they thought it was cute at 8 weeks. It's not cute when it's 8 months. I mean, that's easy enough.
It's because they're experiencing a relationship problem, right? So, trainers, balance trainers, force-free trainers. So understand, I'll talk a little bit about my flipping the script series because I understand that's inciting, a lot of controversy, right? But what I'm really doing here is I'm calling out.
Okay. But okay, so show me the plaques. And what would those mean to me? I mean, they look impressive, but what are they? Or are they for, I can see in the center, it's in his uniform. Are they for the police department, and what do they mean? Do you see what I'm saying? Are they for search and rescue? Are they for all these things that the police department hands out? It's no different than if I go to DIY and he gives me a certificate for completion of one of his stupid seminars that I paid for. It doesn't mean shit to me if it doesn't help me train my dog. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, so that's what I'm saying. I mean, I could go to Dave and get a canine certificate. I could go to Ivan and get a canine certificate. I could pay $10,000 and do all these things with world-renowned trainers. But if I don't learn anything to actually train your dog, if I just go through the course and I do this, I can go to Haas and get a canine certificate that I can train your dog. But if I literally can't train your dog for whatever he's saying that he can train your dog for, and I do all this shit, does my certificate mean shit to you? Because who are they? I mean, honestly, who are all these people giving out certificates for online courses, all this stuff, to say that they can that you're a trainer. I mean, there's really no training thing. You know what I mean? There's no regulation on this makes you a trainer. There's no university, although these people want to call them universities of whatever. And I'm not saying that the Ivan or Dave or any of these people, this is why I like here, train your own dog. Here's the way to train your dog. Do it yourself, right? But what I'm saying is there's no regulation on all these major training courses to make you a trainer, to go into somebody else's house and train their dog. There's nothing that is set in stone that says this makes you a trainer. It's not like you went to a university, you got your master's, your bachelor's, your associates, your whatever in training dogs, and these are the guidelines that make you a trainer. Exactly. You learn exponentially with training your own dogs and doing it yourself and learning dog language and understanding how dogs work and training each dog and doing all these things. Reminds me of, I had so many certs, but most sucked. It's like North Korea, right? And I'm not saying that any of them are bad, but it's no different than the people that pay $150 to do a 3-day seminar and get a certificate or a certificate of completion. What does that do to train the dog? And I'm just saying, does it make you train the dog better? Can you train your dog for more than just it can now lay here? Okay, great. I can train it to lay there, and I don't have that completion, and I didn't pay $150 to do it. Exactly. I think referrals, use customers like references, right? Exactly. It's no different than references for breeders, references for like when you buy off of Amazon, do you look at the reviews? Who has what it looks ridiculous? Like, are you being petty about it? Are you doing this? Like, what are the reviews? You may see 8,000 reviews on it. But if you look through all the reviews and look at what people are actually saying about it, if I buy a shirt off of Amazon, right? I'm looking at the reviews. I'm looking at advanced lay down, right? If I'm looking right. If I'm looking at a shirt, do I look at, does it fit? Like, how many people says, does it fit true to form? Is it too short? Is it this? So like, what are people actually saying? And are you looking at somebody that was paid to say it? Are you looking at somebody that, it was sent to do a paid review? Are you looking at what people are actually saying? What industry are they in? Like, if I'm buying something for my husband and I'm looking for somebody that's in that industry that's actually like using it and not paid advertisement to do it, like all this stuff, like everything that you do in life as a consumer, you're looking for real reviews, not paid reviews or like this bullshit thing, right? Somebody that's actually using that item in real work. So I'm not looking at somebody that got this certificate. I'm actually looking at somebody, okay, so you got the certificate, but what does it do? And if you got the certificate, are you using it to do your own dog? You can do all these dogs, the quote unquote, I trained thousands of dogs. Thousands of dogs? How old are you? Think about that logically. How many hours are you putting in to train thousands of dogs as a trainer to perform all these tasks or to be good dogs? Think about that logically. How many hours would you be putting in to train dogs to do thousands of dogs? I mean, you have to think about sales pitches and all this stuff, marketing. The fake reviews. Right.
This idea, people take it personal as to what I'm saying. But again, I always default back, look at the state of the dog training world. We'll talk about some of that. There's no accidents or coincidences. Everything points directly towards what I'm saying in terms of this very popular idea that trains a learning-based exercise. And so the problem is, in terms of motivating dogs to respond, once a relationship problem is already underway, and the inherently flawed
What is he talking about? A relationship problem?
assumptions trainers are making at that level in terms of perception of dogs changing. Because the question is, well, how are trainers actually qualifying that the perception of dogs are actually changing without the core ingredients? I guess goes back to how I approach training, David, as an intervention.
Right.
Without the core ingredients of control and influence. We'll talk about that, as to what's revealed.
So if you're looking at that, think about how when these people are saying, I've trained thousands of dogs. So if one trainer has trained thousands of dogs, look at just basic. So they can say, I can do basics. I'm doing search and rescue. I'm doing advanced obedience. I'm doing all this stuff on thousands of dogs. It's impossible. So I want to see these thousands of dogs that you've trained. And I want to know that they're all perfect. So it's highly unlikely. There's not a possible way that people can do that and not have a life. There's not enough hours in the day to train thousands of dogs. I know, right? That's like that dude, right, with the bullies, living with bullies or whatever. He did a video like this, like 15-minute, not even a 15-minute video, and he's like, my dogs aren't even trained as well as I want them to be. Like, they don't even listen. Stays up 20. There's not enough, right? But this is the thing too, right? Yeah, like that guy. Yeah, that guy, right? He's like, my dogs, how do I get them to listen? They don't even listen as well as I want them to be. Dude, your dogs like can't even be dogs. And they don't listen as well as you want them to be. I feel bad for those dogs. Every time you watch one of his videos, they're like, yeah, oh God. Well, yeah, look at his little video. Right. He's like, don't jump, don't jump, don't jump, like all this stuff. But they like walk around like they're being yelled at like 24/7. And he says they don't even listen as well as I want them to. Dude, relax. I don't understand this whole idea that dogs just can't be dogs. Why can't they just run around and play? Why can't they just be dogs? And he's like, they don't even listen, like in my head, the way that they should. I'll show you his stupid video when we're done doing this. But it's because it's like, actually, I'll just show it right now. Because he's like, they don't even listen as well as I want them to. And I'm like, dude, your dogs, they listen fine.
A lot of people watch my content and they be wondering, like, how do I keep my dogs under control? Well, I would like to say that they're not as under control as I would like them to be, the way that I picture it in my mind. But where we are so far, it just comes from talking to them a lot. I talk to my dogs a whole lot and I interact with them a whole lot. And I try to be consistent with the things that I ask of them. Like, if I don't want them to do something today, I don't make them don't do it today and then allow them to do it tomorrow. That's
You don't allow them to do anything. That's the whole problem, is they're not even allowed to be excited. They're not allowed. Like, I see all these videos where dogs aren't allowed to wag their tail. They're not allowed to be excited. They're not allowed to, like, even just like love on you. It's like they have to be like this statue. Like, just stand there, and then if I want to pet you, I'll pet you. If not, just like lay down and just look. Just lay there and be in, like, I don't even understand this. Some of that guy's dogs are young. Pablo is one who got beat up, and he's 15 months old. Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, calm down. Like, they are fine. Like, they don't even listen as good as I'd like them to be in my head. Well, you don't need to be a drill sergeant with them. Chill out.
that's confusion for the dog. I try to stay consistent in the things that I ask of them, especially when it comes to rules in my household.
Yeah, we're gonna get y'all some Benadryl. Don't jump. Yeah, we're gonna get y'all some. Don't jump. We're gonna get you some Benadryl.
Like, I don't understand this. Is this how you pet your dog? This is not how I pet my dogs. This is not how I love on my dogs. Like, holding your hands out like this. What do you think they're going to do? They want to jump up to be petted because you're like this. What do you think they're doing? What is this to them? Like, this all just annoys the shit out of me. What is this? Like, you can smell this part of my hand. Right? Right? And then they're all like there trying to like get his attention. It's like they're starving for attention.
All of you.
I looked online and it says
What is this?
pills that you give them, it helps them get itching and all,
Yeah,
like short term, like if they got hives.
yeah,
But the best thing to do is get the medicine from a vet
yeah.
and also increase their omega-3 because it helps your skin.
All right. So when we go out, we're gonna get some omega-3, and I agree with the omega-3 because we was using that and we ran out and we didn't re-up. Luna, I asked you to stop jumping on me. Get down. Get down. Get down. Don't jump on the couch either. Don't jump.
I feel like he's warming his hands by a fire. Like, this is how you pet your dog?
You think just because I don't want you to jump on me, that it's okay to jump on the couch? Nino don't be jumping. Learn from Nino. That's all I want you to learn from Nino. That's it.
American bullies are basically what happens when you mix a pit bull with a body of prison, open their mouth.
The train. See, these dogs are pretty easy to train.
Yeah.
You know, and they recognize me as their leader and they respect me. It's all about respect. You know what I mean? That's the first thing you want to establish with having dogs in your house. It has to be a level of respect. It has to be a hierarchy. You have to be the hierarchy in your household. You know, you have to give the dogs something to respect. Give them a reason to respect you, and they will respect you. And it might start off with food. You know, when the dog realizes who's feeding them, where the food source is coming from, they tend to respect the person that's feeding them the most. So that's how it all started in our household.
That's so funny because I free feed my dogs. You will respect my authority because I give you food.
You know, we train our dogs with food. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I can't feed a dog that doesn't listen to me. And
I can't feed a dog that doesn't listen to me. Oh. I can't pet a dog either. If a dog doesn't listen, I can't pet it.
I think the dogs understand that. You know, I set my demands, I set my boundaries, and I expect for them to respect it. And you got to discipline the dogs as well. Like, you got to let them know when they did wrong, because the dog doesn't want to do wrong by you. It wants to do everything right for you, and it wants you to be happy with them. So if the dog does something that you consider unacceptable, you have to let the dog know that it's unacceptable. And doing that in a routine, yeah, your dogs will be able to maintain in your household the way you want them to, because they'll be used to the rules.
You got your toy, Pablo? Pablo's got his toy, and it's a toy available that nobody wants. Hello, Ada, you been good, girl? You been a good girl today? Hey, Nino. Hey, Lona. You guys been good? It's 96 degrees outside. 90. No. We're not going out there. It's 96. I should have never said that word. It's 96 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, I don't think you want to do that, bro. I know you ring the bell when you want to go out, but I don't think you want to do that. Well, I do need to pick up some poop. I guess I'll go out there one real quick and do my job and then come back. Get down. Damn, it's always hard to pull one of these out. You're going to have to wait. Don't jump. I swear, if I see you do that again, I'm going to pop you.
I believe he did.
I done told you like 5 times. They only respect violence. I'm dropping a new video. It's called Out. It's on the Let's Talk Sport. I always double up my grocery store bags, put my glove on, you know, because I don't like, there might be some poop seeping through. Even though this is a pretty good quality bag, it might be some particles or something seeping through it. So I always make sure I got my glove on, you know what I mean? It's sanitation, first and foremost. Get back, get back, get back, get back. Come, Ada. Sit. You stay. Look at him in single file. You stay. You stay. You stay. You stay. We're gonna be civilized for a little bit. Okay. They're only gonna be civilized for just a little bit, I promise you. Just a little bit. Hey.
thing is if he has them trained that well, right? Right? Right. This is the thing, is if he has them trained that well that they'll line up single file on that rug, he could send them out one at a time so that they don't do this shit where they're going to get so excited that they want to fight each other.
They just playing, y'all. They do it all the time. I'm out here picking up poop. I can't find any. Well, it ain't that much out here. Boy, it's hot out here. I'll tell you that much. Hey, I ain't gonna even hold y'all. It's hot as hell out here. Oh, Pablo dropping a fresh one for me. Okay. Because I don't see much out here. That tells me they ain't been out here or they ain't been using the bathroom. It's too hot. It's too hot. The grass is pretty much it's empty. Let me pick up these joints. It's hot out here, man. I know if I stay out here too long, my glasses is going to shut off due to the heat. It does it all the time. Look at Nino's scar getting better. That's good. That's all I see. Ain't nothing else out here. All right, I'm about to put these dogs up so we can go to the store.
Yeah.
And get that omega-3 fatty acids. And we might get some Benadryl, and I know we got to get some new carpet because I done messed up the rugs. All right. It's hot as shit out here. Boy.
The way I train my dogs, I let them know that it's a time where they can be a dog, and it's a time where they can be
like screws are.
a house dog. See, the difference between a dog and a house dog is when you out in the backyard, you can be a dog. You can run, you can jump, you can play fight with each other. You know what I'm saying? You can be wild, you can bark loud, you can do all those things that a dog does. But once it's time to come in the house, there's a certain type of characteristic that I demand from my dogs when they're in my house. And it's called being civilized. See, my dogs understand what being civilized is. And that takes practice. You know what I'm saying? It takes consistency. And that's where we at with it. I appreciate all of y'all for tapping into the channel. Go ahead and smash that like.
Oh. Yeah, he messed up the rugs. Yeah, he put something on them. I don't know. He got the meta glasses the other day, I guess, when he got steaks and stuff. He thanked everybody for watching his shows. Yeah, he did. I don't know what he did to the rugs. He put something on them or whatever and messed up the rugs. Some white powder stuff on them.
Button if you haven't already, hit the like button, and please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already subscribed to Living with Bullies. It's your guy Lives. I hope y'all enjoy the rest of the video.
Let's go. Come on.
I don't know. I don't subscribe to that type of thought. My dogs live freely throughout the house and the yard and stuff like that. They're allowed to run, but my dogs run 24/7. You know, so in-house, underfoot, everywhere. So I don't understand this whole thing. But then they also don't act like this. So like they're not racing to go outside and act like a fool and all that crap. So I guess that's the difference.
Come on. Come on. You take too long. I ain't got time to play with you now. It's too hot. Letting my air out, sitting there stalking. Come on. Boy, it's hot. All you gotta do is walk around for 1 minute and you're gonna be sweating. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
It's hot out here, man. Hot as balls.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I have to remember that not everybody has a setup like mine. So not everybody, but he could put a dog door on that door that goes outside and they could freely run. But that also depends on whether his dogs live cohesively.
Once I go in the house, I'm chilling. I ain't coming back out until the sun go down. I promise you. It's real hot out there. I'm telling you. I'm ready to go ahead and get what we about to do over with, though.
So anyway, that's what he said. I felt bad because his dogs, for the most part, listen fairly well. His wife won't allow the dog door. They might just lay down on the floor and prop the door open. Oh, I didn't know his wife won't allow the dog door. I think the dog door would be a good idea. And then his dogs wouldn't race to go outside and act a fool. I don't know. But I have 2/3 of an acre. My dogs just run and oh, okay. So they can come in and out as they please and do whatever. My yard's completely fenced in. So they just do whatever they want. All right, so let's get back to this dude and figure out what the hell he's talking about. But yeah, I felt bad for his dogs because I was like, holy shit. I think his dogs listened fairly well. I mean, I think people put too much pressure on the dogs to oh, yeah, that would be a problem, I guess.
In terms of relationship problem, as well as change itself. And so going back to my background again, in fact, I put out an article here. I just took this off my wall behind me here, Canine Cop magazine. I'm a publisher. I'm a writer for this magazine. It goes out worldwide. So I did an article here on what is obedience training. This is published. Okay. And so just so you know, I'm not talking out the end of my butt here somewhere about the problems is the questions that, again, what's happened in the dog training world. So many trainers, and I understand this isn't just to pick on balanced dog trainers. I want to understand, David. You'll probably take, I put out a couple of videos about, so by flipping the script series, and this is even why sometimes, I know you brought this up, is why the Dale puts up a bunch of videos. He takes them down after a couple. Well, this goes into the issue of not just the level of divisiveness, okay, that's happening in the dog training world, to the level of receiving death threats. People get so fired up about this issue because this plays into.
Why does everybody receive death threats? I think it's so weird.
The issue of identity. This is a type of belief system. This is morphed into a belief system in the dog training world. This idea that trains a learner-based exercise. So it comes down to this issue about, again, I put.
What constitutes a real life death threat? Like just saying go unalive yourself, do they consist that of a death threat or whatever? Like I don't know. Like I'd love to see what he considers a death threat.
By flipping the script series, okay.
I don't really see somebody like saying I don't like your training methods. Like I'm gonna come do something. That's like weird.
Going through it. And in terms of calling out basically a product, because here's the point. I mean, you as a balanced dog trainer, you're putting up video content to make money. I mean, we all do it, right? To market, to make money. It's not putting up, like, just not offering your services for free, right?
Sure.
It's a product. So trainers are in this, almost at this level now, where they think that they're in some sort of special category. And this goes in the issue about not being able to discuss the real problem in the dog training world, right? Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, so it's like saying that they're just beyond anyone even talking about what the real issue is, because the point of point of the issue here, even in terms of, I thought, with the Ivan Belanoff situation, how your kind of video, how you kind of entered into my Flipping the Script series,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, I saw you say
More
that.
by accident.
Yeah.
But the very video, David, I put up, and again, as I go through my Flipping the Script series, so I'm going through balance training.
Mhm.
I'm going through force-free training. I'm going through various concepts such as, counter conditioning.
Wait, did he say something about Ivan? Like Ivan was bad or something?
The context of agreeableness. I talk about, the deceptive nature of appearances and why even the blame shifting. The amount of dogs that are being blamed as a result of a faulty picture within the framework of response, right?
Sure.
Saying, well, there must be something wrong with the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Or we'll talk about this issue about remote collars, because this kind of goes into your realm here. Why can't you get remote collars off dogs? Some balanced trainers just like, well, just leave it on the dog. So, but this goes into the issue about a process that lines up, brings influence.
Oh, I'll have to watch that.
Into, right, brings influence into the equation the right way, in which a dog's perceptions change at the right level.
Sure.
Okay, so, but again, this is where David and I always talk about the parenting example. I keep going back to the parent and child, the relationship as the foundational example to understand the problem in the dog training world, because it lines up in terms of, dogs as social animals, how they connect with us that way, our in terms of relationship, in terms of our influence that way, in terms of that connection, the social connection. And no different than a parent, their role, the influence they have. Sorry, Dad. I mean, go ahead. If you want to put a point in there.
So let me just, I don't even have a specific point. I just want to kind of, I want people to take something away from this conversation, obviously, as I'm sure you do.
Sure.
Right. And I think one of the biggest problems of, in this, I want to make it very clear, because I know in the past you've had trainers, be very like personal with their attacks towards you before. I want to make it very clear that's not, well,
Oh my God.
yeah, but regardless, right? So I want to make it very clear, this is not a personal attack, but like all that right there that you just pitched, right? That it was like 8 minutes or so of you talk. You went in so many different directions right there, right?
Well,
and there's so many,
but
hang on. Let me finish that. Let me finish that thought real quick, right? So you went in so many different directions, and there's so many interesting conversations within all of those different directions you went.
Oh, there absolutely,
but there was no like completion of thought of any individual one of them. So I started like just jotting down as you were talking, and I stopped like halfway through. I got like 5 different points that you started kind of making that really need to be digging further into. You know what I mean?
And I'll get into all, but here's another point, David.
He don't even let him finish his own thought. So this guy, at some point, he says he seeks the conflict. Yeah. Well, you see how he won't even let him finish. He seeks the conflict with the dog. Wait, what? So wait, what? This guy here on the screen say he seeks the conflict with the dog? Who, Dale seeks the conflict with the dog? Or this guy seeks the conflict with the dog?
Because you brought this up in one of your conversations about, Dale's just spinning his conversation. I don't understand. But here's the point. Okay, the dog training world is coming apart at the seams.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, you've seen devices being banned.
Yeah.
You're seeing the Zach George versus the dog daddy. You
Sure.
saw the Jeff Gellman situation. Now, I understand when I mentioned names here. Okay, I want to be clear about this. This isn't meant to be a personal attack.
I understand.
Okay,
I understand
on any of these trainers. Even when I go through my Flipping the Script series, I encourage people can watch it.
Mm-hmm.
You will not hear me getting personal with any trainers. This is information specific. Now, I mean, these trainers get taken very personal, right?
Sure.
Because they feel like Dale's calling me out.
Sure.
But you're selling a product.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is the product is the problem here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm saying there's a problem.
Yeah, and I'm not even saying that, right? Like I you mentioned a few times like the Ivan situation of like you used a couple minutes of his video, and I think the entire thing. frankly. And you know, mine's up and yours, you said got like a copyright like down on it or something like that. Listen, I'm on your side as far as that's concerned.
Okay,
like,
well, I was going to say, Dave,
no. I'm totally on your side as far as that's concerned. I am like one of the firmest believers in like not censoring opinions and things like that. I've got a handful of reaction videos of other trainers myself that I've done where I try to be same deal, like you've said, like information specific about.
I agree. I don't think anybody should copyright strike anyone. I think if you're doing a reaction video and you're like this, right? And that's the whole thing of reaction videos. As long as you stop it and talk about it and do this kind of thing, there can't be a copyright strike. Actually, YouTube says that they won't copyright strike you for doing this type of reaction video. That's the whole idea of doing a reaction video, is playing their part through, but you have to you can actually play the whole part through or the whole video through and add your pieces at the end or the beginning or whatever, and you won't get a copyright strike. Or you shouldn't. I mean, they can try to copyright strike you, but YouTube should say, no, they're doing a reaction.
About things. And my issue, and also it's like, it's barely even a freaking issue, I would say. But my issue is just like, we had this conversation lined up and it's like, I would have wanted to save all those points so we could have hashed into them in individual detail. Hey, but I don't care that you're making
Listen,
videos,
David,
right?
Here's the thing. I'm just rolling forward here.
Sure.
I mean, don't take it personal, right?
Yeah,
So like, I'm that guy. I'm like 57 years old. So I'll go down some rabbit trails here. It's probably an age thing too. But here's the thing. You know, and I want to bring cohesion to this conversation but here's the other point.
Okay, well, let him talk and finish with his own thought before you interrupt him.
Like I said, listen, some of the trainers, balanced dog trainers, have all the time in the world to invest thousands of hours right into going to conference, whatever, putting each other up in live stream. If the dog training world is falling apart, and because this is one of my kind of pushbacks on people saying, well, Dale's just rambling. If it's that important, right, to figure this out, because there's a serious problem here.
Sure.
You would think that the trainers would actually take the time, right, to audit what's happening, like I did. Because here's the point. When I first started here, David, and when I looked around, going back to when I started back in 1990, really, I got in the dog training field like 2007.
Sure.
And looking around, because this comes into ethics here. This comes into as individuals. Looking around the dog training world saying, there's a serious problem here. Why is it that people are failing within using the same methods, the same idea of things, and looking at saying, is it really the dog's fault here at this level? Like, look at the blame shifting go on. So it comes down to this thing saying, well, if there's something, here's the crux of everything. If there's something that we're doing wrong as the human, okay, if we're putting an idea out there that is problematic, the presses should stop. If we really have empathy for dogs the right way, not even one dog should be taking the hit. Because of something we're doing wrong, an idea we're putting out into the marketing, everything should halt. That's never happened. Okay, with these trainers as individuals, because here's a tribal thing of this. Okay, once you go into as a balanced dog trainer or force-free dog trainer, okay, goes into this type of belief system. It's almost too late. And I'll talk about that because then you've come into agreement, okay, with this idea of things, and so blame shifting will seem at a certain level to be normal. Well, there must be, the DNA with the dog, and it's got to be this, got to be that. You can't get these remote collars off the dogs. Well, just leave it on 24/7.
You and me both.
Balanced dog trainers do that a lot.
Sure.
I'll just leave it on the dog. And this goes into the whole crux of going back to these situations I talk about. There are no accidents, okay? Like in terms of the Jeff Gellman situation, which I'll talk about because it ties into the issue, like the comment I made about one of your videos with the startled reaction of the dog.
Yeah.
Okay. And I could use a word like as you crank that dog. I don't do that, right? So you get this thing about okay. So, but the startled reaction part is the same as what happened to Gellman.
Yeah.
Gellman got crucified, right?
Sure.
But here's the interesting thing: by many of his own.
Yeah.
In balanced dog trainers piling onto that situation. And people like yourself should be asking, like, why is that?
Yeah.
Like, what's really going on here? Why is it that Canine One, and again, I mentioned the name, they did a video, they put it out.
Yeah.
This is all public. You can go in, everything I say today, you can go do your own research.
Yeah.
Canine One did a video calling out Gellman, saying he's a dog abuser.
Sure.
And other dog trainers did that too. Peter Kane,
Yeah.
There's other trainers put up videos. He's a dog abuser.
Yeah.
And piling on to Gellman. And so Canine One's video was actually used by Steve Dale, the force-free agenda, to try to cancel Gellman.
Sure.
Like that's incredible when you think of say, okay, like what's really so people can come at me and say, oh, I don't like what Dale's saying.
Can I just stop you for a second real quick? So again, I want to like we're adding even more like individual.
Yeah, you're just like, I don't even know do you know what the question even was at this point? I'm lost of what the question was.
Conversations onto the list here, right? Let's just, because you've said that one a couple times now, the Gellman situation, right? Let's pick a topic here and kind of dive into it a little bit, right?
Sure, Dave. Yeah, go ahead.
So the Gellman situation. Yeah, I do agree. Like, you know, every side obviously went after Jeff Gellman for it. And, you know, I don't like using the word like fan of certain people, obviously, but I have a good relationship with Jeff Gellman. You know, obviously I've used Bonkers myself before in the past with dogs, right? I think that situation was completely blown out of proportion with things. And I don't like that everybody was jumping on that also as a way of like,
what? Listen, 4 times I watched it and I'm just as confused. Okay. So what is the Jeff Gellman situation? I wish he would show, this is where you should show clips. Like you're going to bring it up. So, okay, so you should say the Jeff Gellman situation. So I learned what a nudge nude. Oh my God. Nudge intervention and let me look. So this has got to be on YouTube, I'm guessing. All right.
Okay, this is why their videos look the way that they do. So again, but they can't actually show results. Okay, this is why their videos look the way that they do. So again, as these trainers continue to play that shell game, I'm going to be lifting the shells up, talking through all of it, because again, this is what's been going on since the beginning. These same trainers, they can't even get along with each other. Okay, they're throwing each other under the ideological bus. There's been situations I talk about that, such as the Jeff Gellman Bonker situation, was a great or bad, however you want to see it, illustration of all these confused, compromised, balanced dog trainers trying to label a situation that represent confusion, okay, by way of the rolled up towel, a bonker, and trying to, have Jeff Gellman charged, locked up. These balanced dog trainers piled on that situation, just like force-free trainers, a total disgrace. And again, I know I talk through that situation. I talk about what it represents in terms of, confusion. Same issue with Zach George versus the dog daddy. Look at that. Okay, the same type of situation. These trainers, again, they're all over the map. They're throwing each other under the bus, but they can't act.
All right, what is bonking and how to avoid it? Bonking is when your entire body runs out of cold.
But they can't actually show results. Okay, this is why they're
trying to find the one that he apparently, maybe it was taken down, because I don't see one that's new. These are all 6 and 7 years ago. Yeah. I bet it was taken down if everybody piled on him. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Because these were all. These are all really old. Okay, so
Hi, welcome. On this video, I'm going to be responding to one of the incidents in the dog training community.
okay, so this says the Bonker incident social media firestorm. So he is responding to it, so maybe it will show something. It's only 6 minutes long.
It really sparked tremendous controversy on social media by way of those who identify as balanced dog trainers. Again, the controversy triggered off by way of the concept called the bonking dogs, which you're going to see here. You're going to see the actual incident
Okay,
that triggered off so much controversy to the level of Gellman actually having to get the police involved by way again of him receiving death threats, media attention. In fact, one of the media outlets called Left Lady Thinker actually contacted me and wanted to get my take on it. However, here's the thing. I said, sure, I'll talk about it, but I'm going to talk about the real issue in the dog training world. And interesting.
The fact that it blows up to this point to where you get death threats and all this stuff and you have to get police involved. This world has gone nuts, in my opinion.
They refused to speak with me after I said, yeah, I'll talk about it, but I'll put it in context by way of the real problem in the dog training world. So, so interesting that, again, this is, again, talk about this agenda. I'll talk about how it is the dog training world is definitely just not interested in confronting the real issue, what it is in the dog training world. I talk about this idea that training is a learning-based exercise, whereas I show that no, it's actually a intervention, and it's not a learning-based exercise once a relationship problem is already underway. And so when you see these controversies happening, well, there's a reason for that. By way of this very superficial idea, how trainers approach, how they jump into a relationship problem, and approaches learning-based exercise by way of superficially motivating dogs to respond. So again, this is where you're getting all the controversy coming. I want you to understand what this ideology, parental influence, so each individual down. Okay. So if you encounter dogs that are holding a certain level of control, what you need to focus.
His video is longer. The other guy's video is only 6 minutes.
In on, your role, but choose to say you get a relationship problem happening. Just like once it's like, because it's you, and this is where you can get into free will. This is why people get so upset, because it's like, well, you want to work off using command right away, using a treat or something to motivate. Trust me, that's not the way to go here.
It's all the same shit though. Like, look, he's regurgitating it.
Okay, because even think about the free will. This is what the dog training world has created. It's just a superficial response. This is exactly what's happening in the dog training world. So we stop. I don't want to be here. I'll stop it there. So Really think about that.
Did he
A
say
child has become selfish, and you're like, well, you want to work off using command right away, using a treat or something to motivate. Trust me, that's not the way to go here. Okay, because even think about the free will of a child has become selfish. Think about where that will take you if you don't, if you allow it to. It's like, well, I just don't want to have conflict here. I just want to, and then you get this whole thing about at a response level. That's going to take you down a bad path if you don't consider, your role. There is going to be conflict. Okay, but the type of conflict where it's pushback from a child that's become selfish and you're in their airspace differently. Do you understand? It's like a demand. That's why I talk about demand, the difference. You really think about what I'm saying. This is what the dog training world has created, simply because it's a reasonable demand. Versus, right? You get a good. You understand? You really think about that. It's like it's just a superficial response. This is exactly what's happening in the dog training world. It's all hypocrisy in the doggiveness. It creates that in people because this is a human problem. It is.
First, stopping the unwanted behavior, especially when the unwanted behavior.
So we stop with stopping unwanted behavior. I'll stop it there. So at that, and it's misapplied. Adverb is misapplied here. It's manifesting just like a selfish child. Selfishness. It's no different. So branches off the they're misapplied. They're hijacked.
Already exists. We've done this thousands of times. It is successful, and enjoy. Remember, any negativity, any shaming, anything like that, we delete that.
So here's the other thing I want to talk about. There's several things I want to talk about here. So they try to say, well, there's still okay, the way to, and not just that.
It works. We've done it so many times, and frankly, people are coming here to learn how to do things properly. All right.
So you're just saying, well, it works, right? Throwing down that bonker, creating a dog is confused and gets startled, right? Well, how do you frame that up if much of society.
Oh my God, this guy would hate how I housebreak. So I tell people when they get a puppy from me, we do the whole housebreaking thing. Your puppy's like pretty much housebroken because I do the whole litter box and all that stuff and I move everything. So I tell people that they can get a can. Get a can. Put some pennies in it, pea gravel, whatever, put duct tape over the top of the open can. And when you're training your puppy to use the door, because your puppy's not used to the door that it needs to go out. When you're training your puppy, you pick your puppy up, you go to the door, let's go out, go potty, whatever. I have train all my puppies to use a bell. You can get a bell like at a hotel or whatever, one of those bells, or I have a large bell, like Christmas bell that you hang on the door that they can go up and they can touch and all that stuff. So all my dogs are trained to use a bell, but, and you can use either one. I have one that's on the floor and I have one that hangs, but get a can, all that stuff. If you see your puppy going to squat to pee by the door, throw the can in the direction of your puppy, not at your puppy, not hit your puppy with it, but throw it. The rattling, and you don't fill it up all the way, you just put enough pebbles in it or pennies in it, then it makes a rattling noise. And it startles the puppy to stop them from peeing or pooping. And then you can hurry up, pick your puppy up and say, let's go outside, go potty, let's go outside, go potty. And you take your puppy out. And then you put it down, let's go potty. And then your puppy goes potty outside. It just startles them enough that they stop, right, disrupts the thought and focus to go potty and pee, to go potty. And then that way you can stop them enough to pick them up and take them out to go potty. It's not going to hurt them. It's not going to do anything to your puppy. You don't hit them with it, but you throw it in their direction so they go, oh, what was that? And then you pick them up real quick. Let's go outside. Go potty, go potty. And so that way they get used to going out that door until they're 100% housebroken. And it's where they're at your door. It's like, this guy is like, I don't know, right? Right. I don't understand, like, I'm gonna use Dale's terminology. But, like, God, like, this guy if he thinks that's abuse, holy crap. Like, I couldn't imagine. I drop pots and pans, and I make all kinds of noise and stuff like that because I'm trying to make the most bomb-proof dog so that they're not startled by things. I don't want my dog being afraid of anything. I tie, bags onto toys. I do all kinds of stuff so that your dog's not. I'm trying to make a bomb-proof dog. I don't want your dog being afraid of anything in the world. Now, I'm not throwing the can and, like, fastballing it at the dog. I'm throwing it in that direction, like, tossing it so the dog goes, "Ooh, what was that?" Stops him immediately from peeing. It's how you, like, housebreak a freaking puppy quicker than shit. Like, this guy's an idiot. Like, I know I said this yesterday, but this guy's an idiot.
He's looking for answers, but not just that. Everything's based on appearances where people are engaged in bribery, because that's what it becomes. That's that's really the big part of what learning theory is, using treats, bribing dogs. And then you get certain reaction from a dog because now you can't reconcile those reactions because everything's about bribery. So it's going to generate a lot of heat, right? I talk about that. It's like, understand there's so many issues here. So if you use something like the bonker and you cause a certain reaction, you're going to get challenged because then at the same time,
You remember back in the 60s or whatever, people used to, right. Right. Make noise, do all kinds of stuff. I got a puppy one time, and the damn thing was afraid of a plastic bag, like opening up a kitchen bag, because it never heard it before, ever, in its lifetime. And so anytime you would open a kitchen bag, it'd take off freaking running. And so I learned to tie things around, like, you learn things as you grow, right? So I would, like, it was a bull mastiff, and it was totally afraid of kitchen bags. So I learned to tie things around toys and all kinds of stuff. So if it wanted to play with the toy and do all this stuff, it had to play with a plastic bag, like that you get from, like, Walmart and stuff like that. And it got so used to playing with the toy with the plastic bag running around it that it didn't care about opening a kitchen bag anymore. So you start learning things, like, to do, like, all kinds of stuff to make your dog just absolutely bomb-proof. Like, could you imagine opening a kitchen bag and the dog taking off running and pissing everywhere because it never heard it before? Like, oh my God, this guy. Right. Exactly. When fireworks, 4th of July, like, you know how to get rid of that? Get one of those fake starter guns for, like, track meets and stuff like that. Train your puppy, like, just start shooting it off, like, let your neighbors and shit know, let the police know that you're going to be training and doing all that kind of shit. And just, like, when you have a puppy, like, start training and shit like that. Your puppy will never be afraid of fireworks ever in a day of its life. And you don't have to go get, Valium and shit like that. Fireworks can go off and your dog will be sleeping like it's no big deal. Like all this shit. Right. Like, this is crazy.
Align with this idea of things. You're trying to play all sides. You can only do that for so long. You understand that just doesn't work out. But again, this is where the dog training works, because sooner or later it all escalates. That's what you're seeing happening in the dog training world.
Right.
Go around to places and record. Like, when you get a puppy, go around to places and record all different noises, bus stops, ambulance. Like, ask people if you can record shit and then play it over and over and over and over. Your puppy gets so used to all these different noises. It's good for them to hear all this shit. This guy, I can imagine this guy ever being a breeder. The dog would be terrified of shit. But this is the thing. Too comfortable. Then when it actually hears a noise or hears something out of place that shouldn't be, it's going to notify you right away. That's the best thing, because it's like, wait, that noise isn't normal. That shouldn't be here. They make the best. They're naturally protective at that point because they're like, wait, that shouldn't be there, and then they start barking to notify you that something's wrong.
Madly in love with you, and guys, I'll talk to you later. Always remember, be nice. Bye.
So here, the setup, you see this dog about to, talk about this, because this is a seminar. This is where that everything all, the controversy all happened. This is a been trained to be a service dog for this dog owner. Now she has, again, physical challenge. Now I train service dogs. I deal with.
No, you don't train service dogs. We proved that yesterday, that you don't train service dogs, and you shouldn't train service dogs. You shouldn't give anybody any certificate. I don't even know how you give anybody any rights to have a service dog.
Owners with, physical challenges.
Now
here's the thing, okay, and this is the thing about to understand when you talk about the role of influence, okay, and here you have a situation where dogs gain control in the relationship. She's there for help, and so this whole bonker concept, okay, follows the path of a third party, okay, which means Gellman is just standing over here with the bonker, ready to go, okay. The setup here is this dog is reactive towards other dogs. And so the goal here is to...
If the dog is a service dog, make this make sense in your head right now. The dog is a service dog, reactive towards other dogs. Make that make sense right now in your head.
Is to intercept, okay, this dog's, stinking thinking. But understand, balanced dog trainers, they don't dial in a certain way, but so this is going to manifest. But here's the problem. One of the issues here is that, you have a relationship problem going on. Of course, balanced dog trainers don't really think that way. Okay. They just wait for certain moments and try to kind of cherry pick certain moments. Okay. And they'll see other responses as non-problematic. Understand that they're not dialed into a dog's state of mind the right way. So this is one of those cherry picking moments where it's like trying to set this in motion now. Right. And this is going to come from Gellman. He's going to throw down that rolled up towel. And there's another dog that's down here being, going to be brought into the mix because this dog's reactive. So we need to get that. We need to get this dog expressing control right away. Right. But here's the problem, is that this is a recipe for a problem, because you have the owner loose leash here. Right. You're going to see this now.
Well, it is a service dog, so it should be on a loose leash, but a service dog that is reactive towards other dogs, that line should never go together. So fucking stupid. Not all dogs should be service dogs. Just saying.
Now, this is one of the testing things. You're going to see, I believe this is, let's play this, because this is, so this is the let's see it moment. Okay, because this is, I talk about this whole thing.
So this lady needs a service dog. She has a big ass dog with a cane.
Thing, whether it's a dog daddy or anyone else, this whole showy thing, right? Just like, let's see this moment so people can see how bad it is. So then they'll be able to line this up to see how effective the bonker is, right? Or whatever concept that you're going to apply. But here's the problem: when you're, and this is what you want to think, because this is one of the themes I talk about.
Oh my gosh!
In a lot of my videos, working level. Okay, what am I in the right? Thinking too. Where it's problem with that, I'll feel like a so-called child. See little John,
like a child.
the video code and break his crazy that nation. Brain that,
just
then you know happens. You're not going to see anything that way, because control manifests. It's like a drug.
Oh my gosh, he talks for fucking ever.
The owner, you're going to be dialing social idea things. Understand? It's just like a It's like a drive-through mentality. It's just like
back to
it's a
that.
business, right? But to be effective in terms of a dog, you know, in terms of setting this all in motion, so you're going to be successful.
This guy's hurts my brain.
Okay, so
Sorry.
See, that's what it was. It's like that showy thing, right? It's like selling a product. And don't get me wrong, a lot of trainers do this type of thing, whether it's they walk into your home with a remote collar strapped on the dog. It's just the whole thing with just like it's like a drive-through mentality. It's just like it's a business, right? But it's like trying to sell a product. Because the videos are putting up, it is a product they're selling. They're selling an idea of things, right? So here, another issue problem here is that, again, Gellman is the one that's is going to assert influence.
The thing is, I actually have migraine meds, like real migraine meds, because I do get migraines. This guy's going to give me one though.
Which doesn't make sense to the dog. This is why you see a startled react.
This dog shouldn't be a service dog though. This is all a joke. This guy's a joke, but this is all a joke.
Here, because understand this is all about the dog and owner relationship. So you want
No, the dog's not suited for a service dog. A dog that is dog aggressive should not be a service dog.
to make sure that everything is aligning, coming through that relationship.
Let me guess, he can make an aggressive dog a service dog?
Directly from the owner to the dog. And again, anyone that argues to say, well, this, and because you'll see his argument, she has a physical challenge, you know, I had to do, no. Again, like I said, you turn opposite, you're there to assist the owner, give them control, proper control through the leash, what I call baseline. Watch my videos. It's
Does he think that choking the dog up would make it a better service dog? She doesn't have control. Obviously, with a cane and stuff, she needs a dog that's doesn't need this type of control.
like constant control over this dog to a certain level, which is going to line it up. And then you're right there. There's no loose leash. Okay. It's not super tight either. I talk about, you know, kinetically. Okay. I talk about certain principles that you're going to do to make this so it's going to be very effective. But here it's coming through.
What she would probably need more suitable is a dog that would need just a harness to walk with, because she has a cane. I don't know. I'm guessing she needs a dog this big for stability, something that she can lean on, something like that, because she has a cane. So that's why she has such a big ass dog. She doesn't need a leash dog. She needs a harnessed dog.
A third party, okay, through Gellman, throwing down a towel, and this caused confusion. Like, where'd that come from? You know, that's the problem here too. There's several problems, so that's why.
I didn't see anything. Did you skip it so that we didn't see what he did?
But then think about that reaction, because right now we're in a day and age where any sort of reaction from a dog, even balanced dog trainers, are going after each other. Right? There's so much because there's no depth. So even try to define something as abuse. This is what happened: abuse or not abuse from a reaction. Because we're getting to the point now in the dog training world where there's so much confusion, there's lack of depth, everyone's driven by emotions, that sooner or later someone's gonna end up, you know, in prison, okay, with a situation where a dog is startled, right? And that's where this is all going.
Well, what does he think the dog not being able to look around and do anything, being choked up, you know, to where it can't breathe is going to do? If I have the dog choked up with blinders on and it can't do anything, do you think somebody coming up behind the dog isn't going to startle the damn thing?
And don't get me wrong, there's clear abuse that you can look at the situation, but there's so much confusion too, where people are trying to label things for what they're not, because the process itself is driven by, you know, just totally on the surface, appearance based, no depth. And the example I use, again, think about this because it makes sense. I call it the ice cream truck example, where, you know, a child parent.
All right, shut up.
Right. But again, this is not about being dialed in the right way at all. And then he's like, see right there, you can bonk for that.
There. We can bonk right there. Okay. Right? Go ahead. No.
So right there,
oh,
throws down the towel. and the dog gave a startle reaction, because that's the point, confusion. She's saying no at the same time, but Gellman's the one that's throwing it out, like the third party involved.
What did he?
But everything else not lining up. So again, this is what triggered off all the controversy in the dog training world, like tremendous immediate contact in me. And again, not wanting to talk to me because, I wasn't going to cover the situation that way. And they were like, they were very much left leaning. So, and they published their article on it. But they don't see, that's the problem. When you get this whole thing's agenda driven. We're at a level now to.
And so we're doing this because the dog's looking at the other dog and the dog's dog aggressive. Oh my God. Okay. How far back am I rewinding this?
And this is where we're at.
It's okay. Tighten up my leash a little bit. Come on. Let me see. Okay, see that right there?
So right here. So leash isn't really tight. Okay. All right. Dog is looking over. Right. But again, this is not about being dialed in the right way at all. And then he's like, see right there, you can bonk for that.
There.
But doing that, you just scared that dog.
We can bonk right there. Okay. Right? Go ahead.
No. So right there, throws down the towel, and the dog gave a startle reaction, because that's the point, confusion. She's saying no at the same time, but Gellman's the one that's throwing it out, like the third party involved. But everything else.
Why does it think it's the other dog? He wasn't looking at the other dog. He's looking at somebody over here. Yeah. He thinks it's over here. Look. Okay.
Just in the dog training world in general, with what's going on, because I go right back to the book I put out, The Mind and Body Connection. I
Look where the dog's looking.
I talk about, go right back into Pavlov's research notes. Right at that moment, he pushed away a assistant because they were interfering in his appearance-based study. Right, so it goes start right back then. It's layered up since, and this is where we're at.
It's okay. Tighten up my leash a little bit. Come on. Let me see. Okay, see that right there?
So right here. So leash isn't really tight. Okay. All right. Dog is looking over. Right. But again, this is not about being dialed in the right way at all.
Now look where the dog looks when he.
And then he's like, see right there, you can bonk for that.
There. We can bonk right there. Okay. Right? Go ahead.
No. Her.
So right there, throws down the towel, and the dog gave a startle reaction, because that's the point, confusion. She's saying no at the same time, but Gellman's the one.
He wasn't focused on the
throwing it out, like the third party involved. But everything else not lining up.
Focused on the other dog.
So again, this is what triggered off all the controversy in the dog training wanting to talk to me. They were like, we're loving the dogs. Oh, everything. That's clarity. Okay. Here's what they in way where they're like on here, like really bad. Force is just sign off, answers them the issues by way of a process, what's going on here. So my encouragement, anyone watching my stuff, is as an individual, step back and ask the questions these trainers never ask. What's a process? Why are these things happening? I talk about
that's fucked up.
It's an intervention. It's not a learning-based exercise. You kidding me? I mean, just like it wouldn't be with a selfish child that's out of control. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Looked up at her and then.
But this is where we're at. So again, check out my website. Lots of great information.
So that, oh shit, oh, sorry. So he looked up at her, got hit on the head. I'm not gonna watch it again because you can keep watching it. So he looked up at her. He looked away, looked at the dog, looked around, looked back at the dog, then looked up at her. That's when he got hit on the head. That guy was not on cue at any point. So I can see why people got pissed. And that was a lot. Holy hell. What is wrong with people? And this is supposed to be a service dog? Right. I mean, if you're going to do that shit, you better be on cue. And the thing is you can manage dog aggression. Does he think he's going to cure dog aggression on a service dog? This lady has a cane, and I'm not sure what she needs it for, but oh my God. Why don't you walk around with a baby cow, like a mini cow? Right. And did the dog just recently become other dog aggressive? And why did it become dog aggressive? Like sometimes you just can't have a certain breed as a service dog. It's just that simple.
Like kind of boosting themselves up
You're
and
right.
being like the nice aversive trainer, right? Or the nice trainer that uses aversives in order to fight back against this push of already people don't like these tools and all that kind of stuff. But you mentioned, you know, like why did trainers do that? So in your opinion, why did trainers do that as far as all piling on top of him? And what do you think the reasoning leading up to that, like why is that so important to your conversation that you're trying to put out there?
Because it's a lack of depth. Okay, I talk about this idea about training being a learning-based exercise. Okay, it plays off of motivating dogs, right, to respond at the very, and that's why I keep tying in, David, to because here's the thing: if I go sideways a little bit, go back and forth, I have to, because you have to have a foundation first. Like if I talk about a situation like the Gellman situation, okay, the inability, that reaction from that dog, which triggered, really, it caused like death threats to him. Gellman went through hell.
Yeah, no, I know.
And he do, you know. And so look at everything he went through. But my point of everything to say, when you take these situations, this is why I go into my flipping the script series. Those should be opportunities as an individual to ask the questions that many trainers have never asked. Right? They just took a hold of this ID and ran with it to say, okay, why did that situation happen? And I talked through it. I put a couple videos on that. Very, you know, people can go on, and the problem is people, and this is the problem, people look at my stuff, they're already sold into this belief system. But here's the thing, okay, going back to Gellman. So the dog was startled. I talk about why that happened, came from a third party. So Gellman threw down the towel. And I talk about
Threw down the towel. He didn't throw it down like he was surrendering. Holy shit. And the dog wasn't. If you're going to record your ass doing something, you better be damn good at doing it. Holy hell.
the dog making sense of, because dogs are social animals, so it ties in, right? So that connection that they share with us. So making sense means that, you know, I talk about the role of influence. Once a relationship problem is underway, you know, how that's defined, okay, how that filters through the relationship by way of the owner. So for example, I talked through it, you know, and so when Gellman threw down that towel, number one, it's reactionary, which means the dog, and this goes into your video I talked about with that style reaction.
We'll
so dogs already, the control's already manifest.
Okay, well, explain that the dog was looking up at her. So when that towel hit the dog, does he think it's coming from her? Like, explain what the fuck you mean.
Okay, so the dog is already looking towards, in Gellman's situation, the dog's already looking towards the other dog. The dog's there for reactivity issues.
No,
and so,
wasn't.
and the owner's standing there, right, kind of in a passive, right? She's not doing, so it's all kind of on Gellman. Gellman comes out.
I believe if I'm not mistaken, she was like in a wheelchair and like she like physically was just sitting there because she couldn't do that.
And we'll get into that too, because if influence is proactive, David, and so it goes into my videos, like taking the form of a nudge. Okay, if you're really proactive with being dialed into a dog's state of mind, and this is the conversation we have about, you know, the issue of the role of influence.
Was she in a wheelchair before she stood up with a? Was she in a wheelchair prior to and then stood up with a cane? Why don't she get a lab? Holy shit.
Influence, interrupting, okay, intercepting, stinking thinking, because this is one of the big disconnects with balanced dog trainers. We'll talk about, I'll get into that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Let's stick on the Gellman thing,
All
here,
right.
right? So
well, you bring up a point,
so
I'm gonna,
yeah, I understand, right? So you said obviously it was a third party doing it. The dog couldn't make sense.
Third party doing it. The dog's like, what the heck happened? Didn't make sense to the dog. All right. So it's like, so the dog had a startle reaction. That wasn't abuse. I want to be very clear about it. That's confusion.
Yes.
So, but, right, it's confusion.
Well, wouldn't you say that's just the dog was startled, right?
Well, the dog's also the dog's there for a reason, right? Relationship problem.
Sure. But
right?
the act of throwing the bonker at the dog startled the dog, right?
How was it throwing at it? Literally hit it on top of the fucking head. Did anybody watch this fucking video?
So are you?
Because but Dave, it's got to make sense too. It's going to be proactive, right? So, for example, I say about the owner, if the owner was turned around the opposite direction, I detail this was, I know she has physical challenges, but if she's turned around the opposite direction, so the dog is not already control, the dog isn't already seeing the other dog. So that's going to manifest itself through control. Because the issue about, relationship issues, just like I talked about the selfish child, the more selfish a child gets, behavior issues escalate. What? The more control a dog holds in a relationship, behavior issues escalate, and it manifests through.
Does he think that the dog is dog aggressive because it has dominance over the owner? What the fuck is he talking about?
The dog's state of mind. Okay, dog is going to see, so it's thinking. Dog sees the other dog. Dog's already going to start to fixate. Going to start to, you're starting to move into that level where the dog is going to fully express, lunge forward, control. Okay, so right away you have that expressive state already happening. You take the bonker, so right away, not dialed in.
That's not when he hit him with the bonker, though.
As I say dialed in, that owner could have already been nudging. That's why I talk about, when people look at my video,
nudging. Yeah, so
nudging,
right? So you
nudging
use
the dog.
Yeah, so you used. I've heard you use, obviously nudging before. I've heard you use intercepting. I've heard you use interrupting, right? So like you've got many different, terms that you kind of use for that. And I'm assuming all three of those generally are pretty similar. Intercepting,
pretty similar,
nudging,
but here's the thing.
Interrupting.
Yeah, it'd be like a selfish child. Right. It'd be like a parent already knows the child self say, hey. It's like a hey.
I understand.
You understand?
But
I want to be clear about
your intention of your nudging or your intercepting or your interrupting, right, is to stop that thought process. Is that correct?
That's right. The thought process is like interrupt. It's not defined in a way say you can never go towards another dog. I want to be clear. It's like it's like the dog. It's intent here.
No, your
so you're not
interruption is specifically for the thought that leads to the behavior.
Right. It's when you.
Does he think that he can stop or cure? He does. Did you? Well, I'm assuming he does. In his one video, he either has a wife and 2 kids or 3 daughters. Because his one photo or his one thing that he does, there's 3 women sitting in a picture behind him. And the one that we did the review where I did yesterday. I lost my train of thought.
It's the behavior. When dog trainers use behavior, it's not it doesn't even fit, Dave. A lot of times it's a response. Sometimes when you're getting a dog,
but isn't that
they look like one looks younger. They look like they stack in age. I mean, of course, that doesn't mean anything either. It just looks like a family photo. Shut up.
Behavior, right? How is it different?
I will talk about that too. It's misapplied. It's based on a superficial idea here, Dave.
Yeah.
Behaviors. The word behavior alludes to that there's something more meaningful happening based on this superficial, the trains a learning based exercise, right?
Yeah, but,
but
behavior simply is, I don't even know. Can you pull up the definition of behavior? Like what, like a behavior, I don't think has all of this like intent and specific like that to it. I think behavior is simply a thing that you're exhibiting. Is it not?
Yes.
I guess
well,
we'll
it's a
find
better
out in a second.
terminology. Is an express state. It's like a selfish child, right? A selfish child is really
All right,
selfish.
so behavior. Wait, where is it?
Does he have selfish children? He must have selfish children. He uses that a lot.
The way, okay. No, this is similar. The way in which one acts or conducts oneself, especially towards others, right? So wouldn't that be the definition of a dog exhibiting reactivity towards anher dog?
Yeah, but we have to get into this thing about why you're there in the first place with the dog.
Well, I know, but
like that's the missing. There's no depth to this idea, right?
Yeah, but it's a behavior, right? It is a behavior, right? Like the dog reacting.
It's a behavior,
right?
But how balanced dog trainers use that word?
Yeah, but I'm just talking in the literal definition.
Yeah, but you know what? Terminology is so fluid now. If you try to use a term, people will switch it to whatever narrative fits their, whatever definition fits their narrative. I know terminology and I'll say something and people are like, no, that's not what it means anymore. And I'm like, what? It's what it's meant for, decades, centuries. No, it's not what it means anymore. It means this. What the fuck do you mean that's what it means?
Definition of the word.
Okay, we can go little. Yeah, we can go a little.
Right?
Yeah, well, sure. Okay. All right. Let's not get caught up in the semantics of what the word, but I'm talking about when I think about, when I train dogs, I'm not focused on a sit the way that balanced dog trainers are focused on sit.
We're not even talking about sits right now.
A dog will end up there. Right, but these...
Yeah, because you push them there without giving them any commands to do so. You never know. My dad told you to do something and you didn't do it right then. You now are disobeying, lying, and generally a bad kid, right?
It's a core ingredient.
Sure.
I talk about control and influence as they align through defining a process by way of a intervention, which balanced dog trainers approach it as.
I know all his dogs are like on drugs or alcohol or something. He's doing an intervention every day.
A learning-based exercise, right? Which they're wrong.
Sure.
I mean, I understand the dog training world here is wrong in how they're approaching relationship problems.
Sure. So, but again, we're talking this specific example, right, of the Gellman situation, right? And
we're all wrong because he used to be a canine cop. This is amazing. Amazing.
I described, you said, the owner could have been nudging or intercepting or interrupting the dog prior to the dog exhibit, because your goal is to stop the thinking process that leads to the behavior of reactivity. Get a dog
into agreeableness, right? The dog becoming agreeable, and you'll see it. You'll see if you watch my videos, you'll see the tangible result of the dog's head turning slightly inward towards the owner, and you have these moments of relaxation. Agreeable.
Sure.
Okay. Sure. But you actually have to watch the video.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I mean, that's the problem.
So this.
You have to watch my stuff. You have to subscribe. You have to do all this stuff to learn exactly what I'm saying. You have to take my courses. I'm telling you, you have to do it. By the way, like and subscribe.
This is where clearly defining, like you said, you don't like that dog trainers use certain, words, right, or phrases or whatever incorrectly, right?
Well, because it misleads people into believing certain things that aren't true.
This guy misleads a lot of people.
Sure, but
because they're saying change of behavior. Well, what?
Not this guy. The guy that's on the other end of the screen.
But no, it's actually about relationship.
Yeah, but what it's about, why the dog is exhibiting it, is a separate conversation from the fact that it's still a behavior, right?
Well, you can but here's the thing. I already know the problem with balanced dog training, how the dogs don't connect at that level in terms of being dialed into the relationship the way I talk about dog state of mind, right? Because it's balanced dog trainers are in a reactive posture. Right, I use the example about how you want to describe a balanced dog trainer, because this is the example I use a lot. Mm-hmm. It's like going back to the parenting example.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the parent, like when you have a relationship problem happening with a selfish child, right? You're keying up on certain indicators that's the case, right? They're not getting along with their peers. They're not sharing their toys. They're being disrespectful to the parent.
Sure.
Right? There are all these
many
different
individual
things.
problems. Yes.
Yeah. So you're taking all the information, you're arriving at a point as a parent to say, hey, I'm dealing with a relationship problem here. The child is now selfish.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, so wait, so it's okay to blame the child at that point, but not the dog?
And so from that point forward, and the problem in the dog training world, how they approach this is it's like Santa Claus walking in from that point, like bringing a so-called professional in your home. It's like Santa Claus walking into your home environment and you as a parent dealing with a selfish child.
Sure.
And the professional comes in and the only thought in their head is, how can I get this child to respond, to perform some good responses? Think about the sit down conversation.
I choked them up. Do you see what he just did there, though? Trainers are bad because we blame the dog or the genetics of the dog if it doesn't do X, Y, Z. But he's blaming the selfish child. It's not him and his wife's fault for creating the child. It's the selfish child. Do you see what he's doing there?
Instead,
Sure.
To perform some good responses, so I can just sell those to the parent, like you're good to go. You can trust those responses, you know. But I talk about the. But here's the thing.
I think we agree on that actually. So can I just like interject and say, like, looking at using your example of, you know, that you use the example of once a child has become selfish, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and how, you know, somebody coming in with a bag of goodies and then you teach the sit down and stay so that the dog or the human or the child or whatever, you know, doesn't sit on their Xbox and mouth off to their mom, you know, because they don't want to stop, because they incentivize them to do something else. And can you trust those responses and stuff? Like, I agree completely with you, actually. How I would approach those situations as a balanced dog trainer, and you could tell me where I'm incorrect in this, if you think I'm incorrect with this, is I would reverse engineer how did these problems get created in the first place? Right. So let's say you mentioned,
then you actually have to look at the parenting style.
Sure.
You talk about causation, right?
Sure. But even from a specific individual standpoint, right? Like you use the example of at the store, right? You know, the child pulling the toys off of the shelf, right? And
that's the parent's issue. The parent allowed XYZ to happen because they didn't want to deal with it. They didn't want to take the child out of the store. They didn't want to stop the child, or it was cute as a child, as an infant, and they allowed that behavior to continue until it was obnoxious. And now they have an issue that they can't deal with.
They're being selfish because they want those toys, and if they do make them,
they were never told no. So that's the issue we have today with children. They need a safe space. They were never told no. They were put in the corner for like 2 minutes.
This big stink and pull them off onto the other kids' heads and stuff like that. Obviously, the mom is going to, where did that behavior get created? Probably the parent never told the child no. And anytime that child tried to put up a stink or throw a fit or whatever it may be in order to get their way in that situation, the parent ultimately gave into it. And that's the same exact thing we see with owners and dogs all the time.
What's the parenting style? Permissive, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing, right? Like they're being permissive from the standpoint of they're giving way to the child.
That's right.
Is that kind of correct?
That's right. But once you actually reach the stage of having a relationship problem, the child's already selfish.
Sure.
The parental role itself, again, I talk about the role of influence.
Sure.
Okay. Taking the form of a demand. Just think of this way. Like, when is the attitude of the child actually revealed? The bad attitude
when
of the
you're
child.
trying to get them to do something that they don't want to do.
Yeah, they put a demand on.
Yes.
Right? Influence, right? Versus,
they're not
here's a dog training world.
Parent, right?
Yeah, versus here's, say, hey, take the garbage out because you're the parent. Versus, here's a dog training world. Here's $100.
Sure.
Take the garbage out and you get $100. But here's the disconnect here with the dog training world. Based on the current state of the relationship being dialed into, right?
Okay, so what does he do? Like, I'm lost.
What represents behavioral issues, right? Control manifesting through the relationship, dog gaining control. Dogs as pack as social animals, pack animals, how they connect with us that way is the problem. The disconnect here is that you're starting to motivate a response from a dog And I even talk about this issue about balanced training, trying to build off of this inherently flawed idea by way of what's called the 4 quadrants. So bringing influence in at a certain level doesn't trump getting out from underneath this problem by way of how a counterfeit picture develops for so many dogs and owners within the framework of response. Because here's the thing, it's like, here's $100, take the garbage out. Well, guess what the majority of trainers do? Well, pull out the treats. I see you wearing a treat bag, pulling out the treats, right? Because the thinking is just like someone walking, how can I get a dog to respond to a great sit? And this is why you get dogs looking fantastic in the training environment, right? Moving around, doing a great sit down, come and stay. And perceptions of many dogs aren't actually changing, because here's the premise. How do you actually qualify or even establishing that those responses can be trusted without the core ingredients happening in the first place by way of control and intentional control and influence?
Yeah.
Take the garbage out, Dave. Do you understand what I'm coming from?
I completely understand what you're saying. And again, I think
you're assuming that they can be trusted.
Well, hold on. Hang on. Let me step in for a second.
Sure, go ahead.
Because I'm trying to take this a little bit more specific, and I'm trying to describe how I would handle the situation.
Sorry, he's talking, and I'm like, this guy. Oh my God, this guy. Wow. Right, tight leash. He chokes the dog to death. Right, he pushes the dog. He does all this shit. Like, literally, you can ask the dog to do this. Give him affirmation. This is what I want you to do. Thank you. This is what I want you to do. Whatever. Like, right. So you're asking the dog to do it. When it confirms, yes, this is what I wanted you to do. Then you can do it without a treat, and it'll still do it. That's how you can, like, that's how you know it's doing it without that affirmation, that treat, whatever. I can train. I can do all kinds of hand signals, all this stuff, and the dog will still do it. Even without the treat, without the affirmation. That way you know it learned what you're asking it. Like, is the dog a fucking mind reader? Like, am I just walking around with the leash and I'm like thinking in my head, I want this dog to sit? He does. I want to see what this guy says.
Right. So you can you can let me know, because the way you're describing is not how I would handle the situation. Right.
Oh, I know that already. I've already seen the video. So go ahead.
Well,
I'm happy in queue here. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. So let's take what example do we want? I mean, we're switching from children to dogs, right? So let's use the dog example, right? And we want to. So basically, the role of the problem here that you're saying, right, or the big issue here is that you're never actually putting the dog in a position where you're putting a demand on them and enforcing that demand. Is that correct?
It has to.
Is that where the problem kind of lies? Ultimately, you have to ensure that when the dog does not want to do something, that they understand that they still have to do that thing.
Well, no, here's the thing. The core ingredients have to come into the process itself, Dave. The process itself has to be defined properly. When I say interaction-based, because the problem here is the issue about motivation.
Sure.
Okay. The idea here is that how can,
like, if I'm not giving you anything, any affirmation, any praise, any treat, the ball, like anything to motivate you to do it, like take out the garbage. And I'm just sitting there, take out the garbage. Even if you were a kid, there's no motivation. Like, even as a kid, if you had chores, you got an allowance, right? Or like you didn't get grounded. You had chores to do. You didn't get grounded not doing your fucking chores. That was the motivation. You didn't get grounded. Or you got an allowance to do your chores, to buy games, to do or whatever. For me, it was buying saddles and stuff like that for my horses and shit. So like you have a motivation to do the things that you want to do.
I motivate this dog to respond. That's the wrong way to think. Okay, the motivator is the relationship, the social connection. Dogs desire to connect with us at that level.
But if you're not giving any praise, any affirmation to the dog, how does it know that you're connecting to it? I literally want to know.
That's the motivation.
What?
Okay, then when you're in the middle of a relationship problem, what's the fix? To reverse, how do you bring influence into, right, a process at the right level, aligned the right way, dialed in the right way? It happens through a intentional interaction-based method, okay, which looks like, so if you watch my video, say, wow, Dale's like forcing these dogs. That's a common frame up, right? Forcing these dogs. Well, I'm approaching the relationship differently. I'm approaching a process differently. The difficulty here with many trainers is they're already indoctrinated. It's a type of belief system. Understand something. When I sit down, here's the point, Dave. When I sit there, you can laugh all you want. When I sit down with a dog owner,
I get what you're saying. I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at the fact that, like, I want to really talk about like specifics right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I'm here for. I want to get it. So but when I sit down with an average dog owner, David, that isn't a balanced trainer, who hasn't, embraced this idea.
The how part. There's a lot missing. There's no bond. It's mechanical relationship, no different than using a wrench. You use it and that's it. Right. It's the how part. Hey Mills, what's up? I want to understand the how part. Right. It's to drag the dog. It's to force the dog. I want to know how.
Right? I sit down with the average dog owner, less than 15 minutes, no problems. Okay. They are there. I use the parenting example. I talk about why from the way.
Nobody gives a fuck about your parenting example. You must have very selfish children, which is so weird. Well, I'm sorry that you're tired, but I'm glad you're here. Glad you made it. This guy is still not, he can't explain.
Right. If you sit down with a balance, not you, okay, I'll give you, here's the thing, I'm going to give you props here, right? I appreciate you, the fact that and this goes to this issue about censorship.
Sure.
About stuff, David, I want to just take a really quick side thing here.
Jesus.
And like we're doing now, the ability to actually.
This guy needs to take some, like, I don't know, Valium so that he can articulate to somebody what it is that he actually does, because I honestly believe that he just takes people's money, because I don't really see what he does or how he does it.
He work through a problem, and there's a serious problem in the dog training world.
Sure.
The ability to work through is the right to be offended at a certain level.
Sure.
Not because of personal attack, but because.
Well, everybody has an ego, right? And everybody to some extent is going to get offended by things, but being able to step past that and discuss the root of the problem, which is what we're trying to do right now, I think is important.
That's right. And I appreciate the time you take. So, so I lost my, I have a senior moment here. Remind me, get me back.
Okay. And if it's mechanical, this is the thing that I have a problem with. Listen, censorship is the government, but right. Private companies or people, you can be censored. By private platforms don't need to do the right. I agree. Okay, but listen, if it's mechanical, then why did you get a dog? The whole thing is to love and enjoy your dog, or personally for me it is, right? To love and enjoy your dog, to have this bond, to have this relationship with the dog. I think that's why most people get a dog. They don't get it to be like mechanical. What is the purpose of being mechanical? I mean, I understand, like, for some canine officers, because your dog can move on, you can do this, but like you get placed in a different department. A lot of like military dogs do the same thing. If you get re-upped into a different location, blah, 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 your dog is switched to a different handler, all those kind of things. So you can't really bond with your dog. You can bond, you can miss your dog, all this stuff, but bonding with your dog can really take a hit on you. So maybe his dog got placed with a different handler. Maybe he like was really jaded by it. But this whole like mechanical, you don't talk to your dog, you don't like I feel like he's missing the bonding part of like John Q. Public getting a dog and owning the dog. I think his clients probably don't know any better. Like if a trainer already says do this and do that. Right. Well, that's the problem too, right? I mean, I think a lot of these people are going to people, and that's what I said like yesterday, right? Not all canine officers are created equal, right? Just because you're a canine officer doesn't make you a great dog trainer.
I actually am not sure exactly where you left off with that. I think you were talking about it. Okay, yeah. Here's where you were going with it. You were saying, and I've heard you say this on your videos before. You were saying that you could sit down with a client, right, and you spend 15 minutes with them, and the client understands what you're saying, right, or they're in agreeableness to what you're saying, right? It makes sense to them, right?
It makes sense, David.
It makes sense.
It makes sense.
Right? But you're saying that you sit down with a balanced dog trainer. That's not the case.
No, it's balanced, force free, or whatever.
Any other dog trainer that disagrees with.
They'll go on for 10,000 years, and you'll never, and because they take it personal, right? They start to get personal,
yeah,
right. And then the question I have to ask is, well, why are people getting so triggered off and getting personal attacks? See all these personal attacks, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we should be able to talk through and say, here's the thing. This is always my default setting, right? The dog training world's a mess. It's not an accident.
Sure.
And the blame shifting, the amount of dogs being given up on and blamed for because of this idea, I tie this in, is unbelievable.
I mean, I agree. And I agree with both of those points as well.
So, I mean, I'm just saying, hey, this is the issue. I know it's like challenging because I'm stepping forward here saying, here's the source of the problem in the dog training world. Because here's the other thing. People go on about, well, there's more than one way to train a dog. There's that statement's been.
I wish he would just finish one thought. Because here's the thing, and it goes on to something different than just sticking to a topic.
Around forever.
Sure.
But even think about the context of that statement itself.
Yeah.
Based on appearances, based on how both these groups, balance and force free, are motivating dogs to respond. And then here's the other contradiction. There's contradictions all over the place in the dog training world. As a balanced dog trainer is trying to call out force free trainers all the time. I provide examples in my Flipping the Script series of why that fails.
Sure.
Oh my God.
Right? Because you're saying, oh, well, there's one way to train a dog. Yeah, force-free trainers, they do a great, we use clickers. And here's the difference between a balanced dog trainer that uses clickers or this idea about learning-based theory. Years ago, David, when I was invited to sit down alongside clicker trainers in Canada, to a large veterinarian organization, I refused. Okay, I refuse because I understand the problems by way of approaching a relationship problem as a learning-based exercise. I understand what that generates, what that sets up for people, the blame shifting that happens, right? And so I refuse. There's the line. But here's the thing, there's no line in the dog training world. Balanced dog trainers are still fighting with each other over the role of remote callers. You look at that conversation between Ivan Belanoff and Larry Cohn, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's examples everywhere.
Sure.
And saying, well, they're fighting, right, over the role of remote callers as they're being banned.
Sure.
Right, that's unbelievable. And so people accuse me of Dale's crazy talk. I know. I mean, the plot has already been lost.
Sure.
Here.
Okay. So
devices are being.
Yeah. So real quick. So getting back to, you mentioned you were using the example of you sit down with a client for 15 minutes. They get it. You sit down with a balanced dog trainer, a force-free trainer, and you'll argue for hours and you'll never find any sort of common ground because they're indoctrinated into the belief system, the state of mind. I would push back on that and say that I could sit down with any client, and because I'm sitting down with them as a position of authority, I probably am going to be able to convince them of
just about anything. I could convince a client to let me teach their dog to ski on its head. And they'll be like, oh, do you think that's a good idea? And I'll be like, absolutely. This will train your dog. Training your dog to ski on its head will absolutely fix all these problems. And they're probably, depending on if they're in desperate need or not, they'll be all for it. And I could charge them $7,000. I mean, that's the thing that he doesn't understand. Depending on how desperate they are to have their dog trained and just live in a normal, cohesive house, people will do anything if you can have a demo dog in front of them and just, I can take a leash from somebody and their dog. I've had people ask me to move in with them for like 4 months. That's no shit. I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm not saying that to just be, you know, to be funny or anything like that. I've literally had people say, and I've only been at their house 10 minutes. And I've taken the leash from the dog and I can get the dog to sit, do all this shit, because dogs recognize people of authority. And they're like, oh my God, can you just move in for 4 months and just train our dog? Because they're at their wits' end. Because they've let their dog get away with so much shit. And now they're at the verge of either this dog has to be trained or the dog has to go to the pound. And that's the truth. So I imagine that they're thinking, oh, canine cop, this guy knows how to train everything. This dog is going to be like, you know, walking on cloud 9 by the time he's done with the dog. Yeah. And when people are desperate, they will listen to anyone. Hell, they'll listen to people that work for freaking PetSmarts, for God's sake. Right. Exactly. They want the, you know, Cujo if they could have it. That probably shows my age. Cujo was a movie. But you know what I'm saying? Like, people are just like, it's amazing what people will actually do. And when you tell them your price and you're like, you know, I could do this and it cost you $400. And I could train this dog for everything you want. They're like, what? I was getting $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. I just want your dog to live happy. I want you to be okay. Blah, blah, blah. All this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, the prices that people charge right now are ridiculous. Exactly.
Just about anything I want to, because they don't have the knowledge to be able to push back on anything that it is that I'm saying. Or I could do that. I could go to.
That's the truth too. And I used to have a dog that I would take with me. It's my demo dog. And that's the thing too, is you have a demo dog that you can take with you to show all the tips and tricks and all the stupid shit. And I used to have a dog. I put him in a downstay. I could be there for 2 hours. And the dog would never move. And everybody would be like, that's what I want. And I'm like, he's 11 years old. Do you think that you're going to get that in this 15-week-old puppy? He's 11. Do you know why he's a demo dog? Because he goes everywhere with me. He works every day. He goes all these stuff. Do you know why he's a demo dog? Because he works all the time. He can come here. He can do all this stuff because he works. And that's the dedication you have to put into your dog. To get him, you have to do everything that I do. And you are not going to. But I'm showing you what you could have. I'm showing you all the stuff that I can do. But he's also a demo dog. But he's also 11. This is the calmness that you can get. But you have to wait to get that age. But you also have to put in the work. But that's the crazy thing. And I show people, when somebody brings a demo dog, this is what you're going to see. And then I start taking my demo dog and I start taking my 2-year-old and I start showing them what monkey see, monkey do can do. So you have to show all ends of the spectrum. That's the crazy thing about these people.
3 different mechanics. I don't know anything about cars, Dale. I mean, you probably know something about cars. You probably know way more about cars than I do, right? I don't know anything about cars. I could sit down with 3 different mechanics. Right. One can tell me one thing. I could be like, oh yeah, that makes complete sense, right? Because they say it in layman's terms that makes sense to me, whatever. I could sit down with another one. They could explain to me why everything that one said was totally wrong and why their way is correct.
That's the thing too, is like, I had a guy who is deaf and stuff like that. And his dog was afraid of him. He was a military guy, got blown up by an IED and he lost his hearing and stuff like that. So his voice sounded weird when he came back, and his dog was totally afraid of him. because of the way he sounded. And so I took one of my dogs who was 3 years old, and she knew sign language and stuff like that. So I took one of my dogs to show that I could train sign language on a dog and stuff like that. And he was like, that is so awesome. But so that's the thing, is you have to be able to show that you can do different things and the different trainings that you can do. You can't just show up and show, yeah, I can do that training. You have to be able to show that you can do certain things. But I also have a whole list of clientele that you can call. I give you the phone number. You can call them and ask them what kind of training I can do and how satisfied they are with them. And they'll give you numbers of stuff of people that they've talked to. So I'm not giving you just, a list of people and these are the only people that you can talk to. No, talk to them, ask them if they talk to other people. And that's what you have to do. You have to go around and ask other people. Find out if these people are really legit people.
I could be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then I could sit down with a third that could then probably get me to think that the other two were completely incorrect. And that's because I have no basis of knowledge, right?
But I also didn't charge that guy a damn thing. He served enough by serving our country. Or he paid enough by serving our country.
As dog trainers or as an expert in whatever field that you're in, we could articulate things in a way where it makes sense, regardless of if it's actually is.
I thought about it, but then people get shitty about that too. There's a lot of videos I thought about doing. I figure I give enough information on here, and I try to add information to the videos and things to add, like the cans and different things like that. Because somebody told me that too. They said, you add information, but you say stuff like, why don't people know this? For me, it's common sense, right? It's already stuff that I have in my head. And like my husband said to me, he says, but it's stuff that you have. You think that it's common knowledge, and it's stuff that you walk around with your head. Like you're helping people all the time. Like I have people that call me, video chat, whatever, and I do it for free, right? Because like I help people because I want you to live happy with your dog. Like the whole idea is to live happy with your dog. Like I had somebody call me, she paid $7,000 to a dog trainer and the dog don't even know how to sit. Like, to me, that's so ridiculous. How do you do a board and train and it's $7,000 and the dog doesn't know how to sit? I'm baffled by that. I'm baffled that people will take advantage of other people. And all I want is for people to live happy with their dogs, and dogs not to go to shelters, and dogs not to be put to sleep, and dogs not to be dropped off on some, country road or some bullshit. So I help people all the time. And that's the thing, is that like, I don't think all trainers are created equal. And I don't think that people charging these exuberant freaking prices is good for anything. If you truly love animals, you should be doing it for the love of the animals. I understand that people need to make money and that they need to do this, but if somebody's really in a bind, you should just be willing to help the people. And like, I understand also people will take advantage of other people that are like, well, I really need help and I can't afford it, so there's that too. Yeah. No. Oh. See, I think that's crazy. But so I always try to put information in here. I try to add, little training tips and stuff like that people can pick up and help train their own dogs and stuff like that. And I have Instagram and stuff like that. And if people need help, I'm always willing to help. Wow, that's sad.
It's accurate as we're saying that.
Well, David, that's only half of I'll add to that, because based on what this idea represents through learning theory, right? People getting the pet all over their dogs, get to motivate the dogs with treats the way they're doing it in dog training. Well, really think about what I'm saying here.
Sure.
reason why Zach George has billions of followers, right? Balanced dog trainers, this has gotten so twisted. Even the context of popularity of the dog training world, because the idea itself, the process itself plays into this permissive, right? This feelings-based idea that the dog owner doesn't really have to change how they think.
Right.
The role of influence and control are not part of a process. It doesn't take the path of a intervention. It shines the light on the dog owner differently, David. So it's very easy.
In Canada, Canine, you guys should be talking to Canine. Canine's a really good trainer. He knows his shit. You know, like, I don't know why people think that Canine don't know his shit. He knows his shit. He knows, like, watch his Instagram reels. Like, he's willing to help people too. Like, I think all these people that, you know, have tons of followers and shit like that, I think the whole, you must have clout to be a, you know, a good person or to be a good trainer is crazy to me.
For a balanced dog trainer or a force-free trainer, be very popular playing off of this idea that way.
Sure. And I agree completely with you. I completely agree with you that trainers that are approaching things, forget learning-based exercise, but approaching things from the standpoint of you don't have to change your behavior. You just have to change what the dog is doing is incorrect. Because again, all of these, the relationship problem, right? That's already there because like you said, people hire dog trainers 9 out of 10 times because there's already a behavior or already a relationship problem between the dog and the human, right? I completely agree with you with that. But it was created somewhere. It was created by, use the parent example, being too permissive over things, by responding to the dog's discipline and cues that they're putting on you, which puts the dog in a position of power over the owner, right? Like all of this, it was all created, right? Somewhere. And as trainers, if we're going to do a good job, we have to look at how it was created in the first place. We got to make sure we stop the bleeding by making sure that all of those problems have been resolved.
Well, I think because he doesn't put up with, oh, this guy or Canine? Who are you talking about?
And get the owner to view how what they were doing was incorrect and leading up to all of this stuff happening in the first place.
I don't know. This is the first time I've ever seen him because you said to review it. I would imagine that this guy gets a lot of hate because he doesn't talk. He talks out both sides of his face and then he doesn't articulate what he's even doing.
Place. Then we focus on what we need to do from a training standpoint on the dog in order to shift the way that the dog is thinking, right?
Well, it does. It shines a spotlight on the dog owner fully. Like that's the difference here. When I talk about training being intervention, it's just like the parent example. Like you go by the parent example, right? It brings a spotlight on, okay, the role of the parent. You know, that's why this is why some of these trainers out there say, I profiled one force-free trainer, John McGuigan. He's bringing up these disconnected examples too, like Robert Hines, the same thing.
Sure.
Dogs.
So now it's the parent's fault? Didn't he say before that it was the selfish child? Does he even understand terminology?
Sentient beings, right? Well, that completely shifts the focus right away from the role of the owner in the way that they influence through the social connection dogs share with us that way. Social. And so, I talk about, the spotlight part. Yeah, it's like, but the problem here is what defines a process itself once the relationship problem is underway. Understand that's the crux of it.
Sure.
In terms of
so as far as what I said, right, like using me as the example here, because again, I'll stand behind you as far as like balanced dog trainers that are not focusing on the root of the problem, where the relationship problem was created, what the owner is doing wrong, right? Like those are shit trainers, in my opinion.
So genetics have no play in this? Is that what he's saying too? Genetics, no genetics is your...
regardless of what avenue that they're in, because they're never going to achieve long-term success because they're not solving why things got so toxic in the first place.
Well, you're trying to split hairs, David. I mean, balanced dog trainers are in agreement that training is a learning-based exercise. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, but
that's the problem.
But where
that's how you're motivating dogs. You're you're in agreement to motivate dogs, right? Differently. You're motivating dogs just like motivating a selfish child when they're already selfish. And the way that,
But they got selfish because of the parents, did they not?
Versus the parent, the parent interacting. When I talk about interacting with, it's like a parent, David, that's invested in terms of change itself, interacting with a child in meaningful ways in their airspace differently. So we talk about even defining, physical force. People talk about punishment, corrections. The proper way to define it is how it filters through the owner, right? Relationally, just like a parent who is interacting with a child who's dialed into, I talk about this system of training, the parenting style it represents, the authoritative parenting style. Okay, versus balanced doctrine.
The authoritative parenting style is, just so I'm clear on what you mean by that, that is that you are in a position where you're making sure the child or the dog is compliant to you. Is that generally what that is?
Compliant, but again, understand when I talk about process too, because people look at, when I talk about control and influence, it's a temporary process. Okay, understand that when I talk about mechanisms of structure through, say, using the crate once a relationship problem is underway, even the remote collar, the
those
goal
are
of the
management
remote collar,
tools as you're striving towards your end goal.
Well, management, but not just management and never fixing anything. Like the key component here to change is the process, is the core ingredients that talk about influence and control, how they're happening through a interaction-based method, okay, dialed in that way. And so everything starts to the issue about, freedom, dog gaining more freedom, because there has to be an intersect point once a relationship problem is underway, the intersect point, the process itself has to intersect at that point in time, right? It's like getting the information, like the selfish child example. Okay, my child, I got a relationship problem with my child. Well, what do I do? How's a parent adjust, in that situation, right? They're going to be putting structure in. The child can't go over to their friend's house to play video games. It could be grounded. And again, that has
they're adding structure and consequences. The consequences are to actually shape the behavior, right?
Right. At least this dude here understands and is articulating what he's doing and what it would be.
The structure is to ensure that you don't you can't let the child go over the friend's house. You apply structure so they can't go over the friend's house because you're not able to monitor and effectively guide their behavior if they're not in direction. That's why we use
being grounded would be discipline. I mean, and going over once you see the modification working, then the reward would be going over, getting their cell phone back, being able to play PlayStation, whatever, which I don't know why we're using children.
Crates and things like that is because I can't have my dog just free in the house 24/7 if I'm having behavioral issues, because I'm not going to be able to be as on top of the dog as I need to be for that entire time. I have a life, right? Like I do other things. So I use things like crates, or in my case, I use things like obedience commands, right? In order to manage the dog. Let's just take an obedience command like the place command or a downstay or something like that. The downstay or the place command is not there to solve the problem, right? The downstay or the place command is there to help manage the dog as I'm working on all of the things that are happening when they're not in those management techniques, like crates or downstays.
Right.
But again,
it's no different than when somebody comes here, the cable guy, the guys who came, did my chest freezer or whatever. You use the place command so the dog is and place command and watch. So place command and watch for my dogs, I use other words, but just say place command and watch, right? So those two things would be for the dogs to stay in a place, not roaming around. They're indifferent to the people walking around my house, but they're watching for alertness, to watch my body language, to watch what the other people are doing in this house, because they're not normally meant to be here in case something would, say, pop off, right? So that is for two things, right? I don't want them walking around. I want them jumping up on anybody. I don't want them in the way, but also I want them to be alert to what is going on in the house and being in protective mode, right? You don't get that by just forcing them to do something. I don't understand this guy.
Change the dog's overall decision-making process. This is the thing about
when they're free, we work on changing their decision-making process, and we change their decision-making process by applying discipline for the incorrect choices they're making so that they stop making those choices, right?
But if it's reactionary, right? If influence, it's like the bonk, right? If it doesn't align, number one, the dog doesn't have clarity, right? Clarity comes through just like a parent who's interacting in specific ways with the child, who's like that personal type of dynamic, Dave. Like the difference between me talking to someone 20 feet away, say if I had a child that was acting out and me standing 20 feet away from them having a conversation as a parent. I mean, that child can basically dial me out, right? They're all like, all right, but you get closer and closer and closer into that personal space of that child and have that same conversation, takes on different meaning, right? Like you're in a personal space a certain way. It doesn't mean I'm threatening the child, right? It means that dynamic changes, right? So when I talk about meaningful, when I talk about the role of influence, I talk about that type of interplay with, again, the mind of the dog, okay? This is where you'll see it, the difference even come out through getting a dog to wait for their food, right? You're saying wait, right? Versus, everything I say today, you can put it to the test, okay? Wait for the food. But you can look at the dog's body language and say, that dog's mind is still jumping over.
Yeah.
The dog's sitting there.
Yeah.
Because this goes into some of your videos too.
This is another example I agree with you completely on, right? So with food, I don't use wait commands. I don't stop the dog from taking the food with downstays or sits or anything like that, right? The dog respects the fact that the food is mine until I give it to them, right?
Well, how's that respect game? But the thing is, meaningful influence, I talk about it,
right?
Well, it has to, that interpersonal thing I talked about. When you get your hands on the dog and do what I call, like you see me do the push-pull in that moment, right? Okay, that moment of influence happening over again, stinking thinking's happening, because understand when these things are happening with food issues and stuff, typically it's a result of a relationship problem, right? That dog is already not thinking healthy. Things become like a supply source. You'll see, that's why I talk about dogs head pivoted. You pay attention, you see the dog, looking at the cat, looking at the other dog, looking at, so
they really would like to do those things, right? Yeah, they're stinking thinking, right? They are actively in the process of stinking thinking, right?
Well, David, it's the same thing as a selfish child. When the child's really selfish, say they're, and part of that selfishness is about they don't have healthy thinking towards their peers, sharing toys.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't get to think at all. He controls every thought. What thought is of their own volition?
they walk into a room, David, right? I mean, they're thinking, you already see their mind going towards, say, maybe video games, right?
Sure.
Because they don't have a healthy attitude about other people, the parent, peers, right? And so that's thinking the parent.
Oh my God, his poor kids. His kids must have really went wild. Right. I don't either.
Parent who's on it is saying, hey, right? It's like engaged.
Well, this is the thing too. He must have been, I wonder if he was ever bit by his own dog in like a misdirect.
It's like not waiting for things just to start happening. You're in the middle of a relationship problem.
But isn't it normal that as we're working on whatever, dog reactivity, trying to go for their food, the child looking at the video games and really wanting to go over there and be selfish and take the child's video games or whatever it may be, isn't the problem what they do with the thinking, not the thinking itself?
No.
I mean,
he wants to control every thought. I get it now. The dog isn't allowed to have its own thought. To respect him, the dog must never think on its own.
Plenty of times I, as a human, right, think about things that I probably shouldn't be doing, right? But having the discipline to know that I can't do those things is really what's important. Like there's not somebody that's
then you wouldn't respect him. So let me read that. So if he was bit in a misdirect, he preempts and makes him think that any thought could be of biting the handler. Right. So think about, so think about that. So if he got bit, allowed to think, it's complete. Do not think and do as I say. Exactly. Because he thinks if a dog has its own mind, it will do bad things. It's always going to do bad things. That's what makes me think he was bit by his own dog. It might have been a misdirect. But think about it. It's always the selfish child looking to go play a video game, looking to do bad things, not take the garbage out, not do the selfish child. Think about his own words, his own philosophy. It's always going to do something bad. It's never going to go just take a nap, read a book. It's always bad. The selfish child. Do something that I don't want you to do. Do something to harm somebody else. Do something that is bad in the sense that he thinks it's me, selfish, and against what he wants. He's a narcissist. But what I'm saying is, so if a dog would have its own mind, it would also be selfish. So it has bad intention. The dog has bad intention if it doesn't think the way he wants it to. So he controls its thoughts. Wow. Poor dogs. So he doesn't trust any dog. Ever. Not that I think you should trust a dog 100%. But he doesn't ever just relax with a dog. I imagine him living with a dog is that if it gets up and looks to even go get a drink on its own, to just get up and play with a toy, that he thinks it has bad intention. Yep. That's how I think. That's what I think he's meaning by it, and that's why I think he can't say it. Because how wild would that be to say? I mean, listen to his words.
Constantly like, hey, don't think that. Hey, don't think that. Hey, don't think that.
By your approach from the perspective, you're an adult, right? So for a child, right, the role of the parent, right, for a younger child, I'm talking about a younger child. This is why I use the example of how this connects with dogs and social animals. It's really, really simple. Yeah. Once you take it to an adult level, right, because the parent's role changes from, control to less and less influence over the child as they get older and older.
But he doesn't ever give them less and less. Like you said, he's placed every one of his dogs. So when they get that less and less control, he doesn't want them in his house. Because he doesn't like having the less and less control.
Sure.
Right? The parental role switches.
Yeah.
But as we talk about,
because you're really training when you're going through the training process, you're training a human or you're training a dog ultimately to just make good decisions, right?
Well, it's not just about response. This is the problem in the dog training world.
But don't you want them to just make, if they made good decisions, wouldn't there not be a problem?
Well, you'll see it. You'll see the transition through.
See, he can't answer it.
Okay, when I talk about a process that brings in those core ingredients the right way, control and influence, right? Through how you're interacting with the dog. Everything starts to change. Now you're going to invest in certain, there's big ticket items such as the dog will have food issues, David, and different things. But
the dog will have food issues and those type of things. Yep. Now that you now that I've said what I think his philosophy is, listen to all his buzzwords. Listen to everything that he says. That's his worldview. And I guarantee it's his worldview for his children too. I would almost guarantee if you sat down and mapped out his life, his children went wild. And so he believes that about everything. He had such tight control over his children that once they hit a certain age, they just, what he deems is selfish, but tried to live their own life.
How how those ingredients come in through the interaction part of it is what starts to deal with that stinking thinking. The dog, everything filters, dogs are pack animals, social animals. You're the pivot point. Everything filters through that way. Everything comes through that way. Now, again, the process itself, coming out on the other side of a process, you'll start to see all the behavioral issues diminish, right? You'll start to see it. The dog, it doesn't break the dog's spirit or drive. It's the dog, everything, the focus shifts on to you differently. Because dogs will go one of two ways. They get possessive, they start to attach to people. They're following around in the bathroom, and the person thinks, oh, the dog loves me more, right? It gets that level of that dynamic going on. But through, again, the right process, it's like rebuilding bridges. The dog starts to perceive the person the right way, right? And everything changes. Connection, depth. I talk about depth of the relationship. Because even this idea of things is so superficial, right? It really is. I mean, this learning-based theory, it's just like pull a treat out. Is that really what it's about? Like, they were thinking about that.
Yeah,
like,
but you
like
keep
dogs are
getting
amazing.
back to the treat, right? I think the thing that at least good balance trainers do is they ensure that regardless of if we have a treat or not, the dog understands that they still have to do the thing we're asking them to do. Or they can, regardless of if we have food or not, they cannot do the thing that we're ultimately telling them not to do.
But you're looking at things like trainers look at, it's not just like the act that's physical, right? Because really that's the problem. You watch your videos there, you see there's a moment where you're telling and don't get, this isn't meant to be just outright criticism
No,
here.
you're
This
fine.
is just me saying, hey, there's a moment in that video where.
Which video you're talking about? Which one?
It's where the dog is.
Was it the leash walking
video?
video, or was it the one with the poodle with the reactivity?
It's the reactivity. I did several videos. I know I put out
most
several
of the ones you did were on the same session though, so it was
It's the
probably
same
the
stuff. You
poodle
did-
with the reactivity. Got it.
Yeah, but there's a moment in that anyway. It's the same type of
Where the dog
I
sits
think
and was still scanning around. Is that the moment?
you're saying get the dog into it. You're saying get the dog into it down.
Sure.
And
I said tried. I wanted to see how she was going to try to do it.
well, David, the dog's already. That's part of the point. The dog's already investing. Okay, stinking thinking's happened.
Sure. Yeah. So that
Right, dog
entire, and that was my critique of that video, was that entire minute and 30 seconds you watch, I said at the very beginning, was I wanted to see what I didn't care. You've mentioned a few times, like, we don't need to see the behavioral issue, right? Like, I don't care about what the dog is doing in that moment. This is where you get back to like blame shifting. I'm not putting the blame on the dog. I wanted to see what the owner was doing, right?
But
because that's where
David,
the problem lies, is how she's interacting with and communicating with the dog, right?
But David, one of the videos, that's why the response is shorter video you did. You basically said the dog's in a physical response. The dog's physically said, you came around and said, I don't care what the dog's looking at.
Yeah.
Like basically saying, as long as you get the physical sit, I don't care. Well, you should care, because that's the whole point of everything, is to say it's about mind and body.
Yeah,
it's not just about body, right? It's like mind and body, depth of relationship.
So let me explain to you how I see this stuff generally play out. And again, I want you to tell me where I'm wrong, right? So initially, I don't care about what the dog is thinking about, right? Hold on, let me finish here, right? I don't care what the dog is thinking about. I care that the dog makes the correct choice, right? It could be reacting on a leash. It could be jumping on people. It could be whatever. It could be any behavioral issue that you want to list, right? I'll just use the reactivity as the example because that's the video we're talking about, right? Initially, if I can get the dog to make the correct choice after they've had years of rehearsing the incorrect choice, things don't just shift from they're making the incorrect choice for years and years. They have a toxic relationship with the owner and frankly with anybody, to they're making the correct choice and there's just absolutely no thought of making that incorrect choice ever again.
But you're at a superficial. It's not just about physical response.
Let me finish that thought.
Okay, go ahead.
Right?
Yeah.
In that particular video, as the video progressed. I don't know if you actually watched the whole thing or you just reacted to the first like minute.
I only had to go a minute and 30
Okay,
in.
so you didn't watch
the
but this is the problem, right? So like you didn't watch the whole thing, right?
I didn't have to watch the whole thing.
So you didn't see where it progressed to, which was that very first one. As soon as we got the dog into the sit, yes, the dog was scanning around like crazy. He definitely still wanted to rehearse the behavior, right? But he was making the correct choice. The next dog, because we passed by, I think, like 10 or 15 dogs in that entire video. Like it was like the nicest freaking day in Cleveland, whatever. So then the next dog, the dog did it, right? And then as the dog was thinking about making that incorrect choice, it chose to make the incorrect choice again. We showed the dog you still can't make the choice. And then as we progressed through the next 7, 8, 9 dogs, each time the dog made the correct choice, the dog's state of mind settled. The dog wasn't scanning as much. The dog was in more of a relaxed state of mind because making the correct choice became more natural for him as he was able to practice it. So explain to me where that thinking
is. Sure, you're talking about choices at a physical response level, right? This is the same premise I said about what defines a process. Selfish child. Is it just about the child picking up their toys, incentivizing them to do so?
No. But in this case, I wasn't. In this case, I was putting demands on the dog.
Through the remote call, right?
Sure.
Okay.
The enforcement of those demands was through the remote collar, but the remote collar through me still.
What I'm saying, if influence and control, if influence is not brought in the right way.
So how is that any different than choking the shit out of the dog and holding that collar all the way up to where the dog's like this, eyes popping out of the head, except for the dog gets to walk until he makes the wrong choice. Instead of like this and like snorting half the damn time.
Not dealing with the dog's thinking thing, not dialed in the right way, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Not at the right level, being proactive, right? The problem is, because balanced dog training, right, you bring the remote collar into the equation, right? So they're bringing influence in, intercepting the dog's state of mind, right, at a certain choice, as you call it. The problem with that, again, if influence is not brought in the right way, this is the reason why oftentimes balanced dog trainers can never get the remote collar off that dog.
I disagree with that.
Right, the dog.
Well, I disagree 1,000%.
No, listen, it's all over the place.
And I'm talking with me specifically, right? I do think there are many trainers that can't get off.
I'm saying in general here, Dave. Okay,
Yeah.
No, you can't say in general. I know a lot of trainers. I'm one of them. That you can absolutely train without a shock collar.
This is a problem.
Sure. I'm still trying to talk about like this specific situation though, right? Because this really is kind of the crux of it
Well, that's your interpretation, right? You can say all day long, you say, Dale, this is fantastic, right? I got great change happening. But here's the thing, here's the problem. Who's in control of actually auditing whether or not a level of change is actually happening the way that you're describing? Who's in control of that, David, in terms of saying that?
The owner.
You are.
No. The owner is.
No. Well, the owner could buy in, like you said before, the owner will buy into anything, right?
No, the owner's going to buy into what David's saying, but he's right. He's doing the right thing by choking the shit out of the fucking dog. And the owner's not buying into that bullshit.
Well, if they've bought into the fact that their relationship with their dog is better, right? And that they could go for walks and it's enjoyable with them, whether we as trainers think it's perfect or not, isn't that kind of irrelevant? Because isn't the actual
idea to have a better experience with your dog
thing that we get hired for to make our owners' lives better? You disappeared.
Well, balanced dog trainers are playing both sides of the fence here anyway, because what they're doing is
Dale, did you turn your video off? Your video's gone.
Oh, just a second, Dave. Sorry.
That's all right. Just want to make sure we can
see
your beautiful face.
I hit the space bar and must have triggered by accident.
That's all right.
But here's the point, Dave. It's like, balanced dog trainers are playing both sides of the equation or both sides of the fence, because what they do is, they bring influence in. So coming from, say, a force-free, it's a type of spectrum here, Dave. Mm-hmm. So I talk about this spectrum situation in terms of what defines a process, the core ingredients, okay, through an interaction-based method where they're coming in the right way by way of changing. Dogs coming out the other side with a predictable outcome. The way I describe it, and you go further, you go down that spectrum through balanced training, because balanced dog training, they use, right?
I'll be right back.
Right? They use remote collars. They'll bring in, corrections, right? So influence is part of it, right? So some level of change will happen, Dave. Okay, I never deny that, because here's the point. I'm not saying that change, and I even go so far as to talk about the totality of the relationship. We'll probably won't have time to get into it here about the owner themselves beyond just an idea of things. This is where the dogs I personally own. Okay, this is going a little deeper here. Dogs I personally own, but you have to understand this a little twist, because this causes confusion with dog training. Dogs I personally own, David, I could take them up to a really high level of change, even though I've adopted this idea of things that trains a learning-based exercise. So I could use treats. I'll bring up to a high level. I talk about the totality of the relationship beyond just an idea of things. But 40% of the people coming to me for help with their dog, and they're adopting this idea, learning, and they're motivating dogs the way to describe it. And change has to be generated through the core ingredients I talk about. They'll be failing, and they won't even know they're failing, because guess what my focus is on? Response in a very superficial way. Right out of the starting gate, I'm getting dogs to respond. Do you understand? Like, you have to. I get into some of these dynamics in dog training.
I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is two things, because we've shifted the conversation a little bit again here, right? Thing number one was that in the case of that video that I watched with, it is undeniable that by the end of that video, the dog's level of stinking thinking, as you referred to, was dramatically lower than it was at the beginning. And I never needed to actually address the stinking thinking, because I addressed the actual decision that the dog was making, which in my opinion is the important thing.
But the problem here, Dave, if you're not dialed in the way that I describe it in terms of the core ingredients, influence taking hold through the right process itself, the problem with that is you'll be thinking, because you're looking at a physical level with these dogs a certain way.
Well, I'm looking at you're looking at the emotional, right? And I'm talking about, you're referring to the stinking thinking. I think you used that as the example.
I'm talking about being dialed in, that way.
Dialed into the stinking thinking.
The problem with that, David,
the stinking thinking improves.
I go back to the same thing with auditing who actually establishes the level of change that's actually happening with dogs, because you're in control. All these trainers out there, they can blame shift as much as they want. I'm just talking in general. I'm not even focused on you right now. I'm just saying in general, whether for.
Okay, what did Max? Yeah, owners is product or training if it's needed more. Yeah, exactly. More if we are saying basic makes it life easier. Similar, right?
Force-free trainers, whether it's balanced dog trainers, they can blame dogs all day and get away with it.
I understand what you're saying.
Right?
I completely do. And again, I agree with you at that point, but I'm talking about me specifically right now. And I'm talking about that specific video of
I'm glad he keeps giving him pushback. This is really good. You don't see this a lot, people giving pushback to other people.
End result was was significantly closer to probably what you would want it to see than the beginning result.
You're trying to get out from underneath all this somehow, David, right now.
What am I trying to get out from? What am I trying to get out from?
I'm half teasing.
I understand. But no, seriously, like what I'm getting at is literally, and I know you watched my last podcast, so I saw the owner the next week and the dog is not reacting at other dogs anymore. So here's the thing, regardless of if the dog is still thinking about it and still stinking thinking, if she can go for walks and that dog isn't reacting anymore, where's the problem?
Right.
Well, the problem lies in people get blindsided. I put out some examples of this where dogs will actually push through the remote collar. Here's the example. I had a situation in Canada.
Versus being choked to death?
I heard you talk about this on your video you made yesterday. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just putting examples of when people try to counter what I'm saying to say, oh, well, Dale, the dogs are fine. I'm saying, okay, well, the truth really gets revealed. Okay, when you get into dogs with holding a higher level of control, deal with these aggressive dogs, where suddenly you have a situation.
Because dogs that are dog aggressive is managed. So how is a shock collar any different than choking the shit out of the dog? I'd rather walk around with a shock collar and have that and be training the dog with that to manage the situation. Now, if the person's walking around with it, maybe you should manage it a little better. But does he think that he's going to cure the dog with choking the shit out of it to almost like passing out? Is that literally what he thinks?
Where the dog is blowing through that remote collar to get to the other side to express control, biting somebody, and then guess what happens? Oh, it's a dog. I don't know what happened. And this goes to a situation of taking the remote collar.
Bad training, though, right? Like that would be. And when I say bad training, I mean even in the moment, there probably was many things that owner did that was incorrect leading up to that.
Well, no, this is a balance. She went through a balanced dog
Well,
training.
that doesn't mean that it was good. The dog that you reacted to the video went to a balanced dog trainer, did a freaking 30-day boarding training, like 10 lessons, and the dog was still a fucking mess, as you saw. Right. So yeah, I agree. There's shitty balanced dog trainers out there.
But Dave, here's the thing. You're trying like this. I understand. This is going into this whole issue about why having this conversation. Balanced dog trainers are immediately going to be in a defensive posture, right? Because again, going back to the thing I said, this is an ethical issue as individuals. They're saying from the very beginning. I always default back to this. The dog training world's in a mess, David. Look at all the problems happen.
So his idea is to break the dog totally, to break its entire spirit, to break it from ever just thinking at all. Who wants a dog like that? Why would you want to own a dog that just won't think? Like just be a zombie. Yeah, that's sad.
Breed specific bans. You get into this divisiveness, these situations with Jeff Gellman. You look at Zach George versus the dog daddy. Robert Cabral came out, made that contradictory statement.
The dog daddy is a joke. Like the fact that you would even bring that up is just a joke.
Science has no place in dog training.
Yeah, and I've talked about him before, and I think that, you start getting into some of the trainers like him and some of the other ones, they've played you get into playing both sides of the field, right? I do think that a lot of those trainers are playing both sides of the field from the standpoint of they're using the aversives and they're punishing the dogs and they're doing all the things that they're shitting on all the other trainers for saying, but they're marketing it and branding it as if they're not doing that, right? So again, I agree with you. Right? Like I'm pretty sure that I agree with what you're saying with that.
Well, then why aren't you going to agree on me that in terms of what the core ingredients or processes? Here's the thing: you can put everything
because of the results that we're getting.
You're going to as long as you keep defaulting back to a balanced dog trainer's approach based on this idea of things. I talk about the problems with that. Then I'm never going to come into agreement with that for the very reasons I state in terms of the problems that I connect the dots. Say this is why. These problems, it's symptomatic. These problems are inherent to this idea based on its application once a relationship problem is already underway. So I don't motivate dogs, David, to respond that way at all for a reason. Because the core ingredients I talk about, influence and control, have to come in at the right level, the right way to come out on the other side with a predictable outcome. And this will come through, especially when we deal with aggressive dogs. Okay, this is where you get this blindside dogs pushing through the remote collar, because you can stand here all day long, David, and say, "Oh, my training." I'm not meant to be critical, but my all trainers out there are going to say this.
I think he secretly just hates dogs and just thinks that, well, if you're going to own them, this is how you need to, or just not, or just have every dog put to sleep. People shouldn't own dogs unless they just can't think for themselves. Like give every dog a lobotomy. So weird.
Meanwhile, the dog training world, balanced dog trainers are losing their tools. That's no accident either.
But really, don't you think that, like, do you really think that there is anything balanced dog trainers could do that would make because the force free community is who is pushing against the tool bans, right? I don't think that could really be debated a whole lot, is that people in the force free world are the ones that want tools banned. Can we agree on that?
But balanced dog trainers are.
But what I'm saying is, can we agree that the force-free community is who wants the tools banned?
That the force-free community, yeah.
That they are the ones that want the tools banned, right?
Oh, 100%.
So what I'm getting at is there anything that the balanced dog training community could do that would make them just look at those tools and be like, you know what, we don't want to ban these tools anymore? Is there anything they could do?
you can reject the idea that training is a learning-based exercise.
So why
get
would
off
that
the fence.
change why would that change their perception of tools?
Because it comes out, well, anyone go watch the video I made this point very clear with the Jamie Penrith going on Good Morning Britain, where the moment where he's challenged, right? He's trying to debate, they're debating the remote collars being banned over in the UK right now, right? Yeah. Bans are happening worldwide. Jamie Penrith is a balanced trainer, goes on.
The shock collar will never be banned in the United States. They may be banned in Canada. They may be banned in Europe. It'll never be banned in the United States.
Good Morning Britain. I talked through that whole video. It builds up to that moment, right? Because think about what I'm saying, balanced dog trainers, they're compromised. They're in a catch-22 situation they can't get out of on this issue. So as a conversation between Jamie Penrith and this lady from Dogs Trust develops, there's a moment where he's trying to justify, right? He's saying, well, these collars are good for some dogs, but then it comes down to this issue as a process that balanced dog trainers are in agreement with. This issue about the role of influence, about choices with the dog, about motivating dogs to respond the way that balanced dog trainers do. And the moment that happens is the lady challenges, hold on here a second. We can show that we can get a dog to make a different choice based on using food or whatever, something the dog wants, to make a dog a different choice rather than running out towards, say, sheep. And right there, blown. You know what I'm saying? What's the counter, right? Because balanced dog trainers, they agree that it's about approaching training as a learning-based exercise, motivating dogs to respond this way, changing their focus. I get this issue, changing their focus, redirecting. So when I talk about control manifesting, being expressed, that gets into this issue about interrupting, thinking, interrupting the role of influence, very specific, right? This is why it's incredible. I don't get any pushback on what I'm saying through force-free trainers. All of it's coming through balanced dog trainers. That's interesting. But that moment on that video,
until they see you choke up a dog, I doubt they appreciate you choking a dog to death.
Shows that you're done. Because, yeah, they're saying, well, hold on here a second. How do you justify the role of influence by way of this superficial idea that trains a learning-based exercise? Balanced dog trainers, they're all over the place when it comes to the role of influence, Dave. Like, that's the problem here. Because force-free trainers look a lot more clear in this idea. It's an ideology is what it is. Because, you know, the role of influence doesn't fit that way in this process. You have to apply critical thinking here to understand why balanced dog trainers are losing the war.
Yeah,
but, I mean, I agree with you that
pitch me the argument though that would convince the force-free community to stop pushing against the e-collars.
They won't, because you know why? This is
exactly. This is what I'm saying. But they won't. But because, right? There's nothing we could do that's going to stop the e-collar bans.
A little plug. I'm about to release a book, okay?
Sure.
It's called Dog Training Wars. It gets into the ideology part of this without naming any names. I don't name names in the book, okay?
Sure.
I just talk about the belief system part of this. Based on what this belief system represents, David, balanced dog trainers don't fit in it that way. They're compromised, okay? Because it's based on what so it has to reach its ultimate fulfillment. And then if you look at the perfect storm with society, the permissive parenting on the increase, it plays. If you really, after this talk today, you really sit down and think about what I'm saying, you start to understand why it's impossible for balanced dog trainers to win the war, the ideological war, based on the fact that they're in agreement. Okay, they're in agreement with this idea itself that doesn't line up.
Yeah, but
okay,
what I'm asking is how, forget balance trainers for a minute. How do you, Dale McCluskey, win the war then? Because you're saying like, oh, balanced dog trainers because
Dave, I'll be honest here.
Yeah, but let's say there was freaking 10 million of you out there, right, training dogs in the world, right? You're claiming the problem is because of the ideologies that we have as balanced dog trainers, we could never win the war, right, against e-collar bans or prong collar bans.
Not as a balanced dog trainer.
So that's why I'm saying, how do you win the war then? Because you're not obviously about, or you obviously do not subscribe to the balanced dog training label. So how do you win that war?
I'll be completely transparent and honest with you, David. I'm not going to win the war, but I'm probably not. Okay, this is going to get really bad. Okay, I'm being really honest with you.
I agree.
This is going to get really bad. Like it's getting to a level now, David, where that's why Zach George keeps making these statements about legislation.
Sure.
Notice how he's playing off a certain situation. But here's the problem. Balanced dog trainers do the same thing. They're trying to leverage, but I'm talking about, talking about the big picture now, right? Because balanced dog trainers are very focused on this, that's not good. Because if you want to win the war, if you want to stop what's coming, okay, you have to confront the real issue.
Yeah, but you just said but you just said you can't, right? You said you can't win the war, right?
I hope to, like David. I always have hope.
Yeah, I appreciate that, obviously, but you're saying you can't win the war, but you're saying the reason why we're not winning the war is because of our ideology. So it feels like you're just kind of using that as a point to continue driving the nail into balanced dog trainers, is what it feels like.
No, because you go through my series, David. I'm balanced in the good way. I'm balanced. I talk about the real problem. I'm not tribal, right? I don't identify as a balanced trainer, a force-free trainer.
Sure.
In fact, my series alternates between both groups, right?
Sure.
Like so the complaint from balanced dog, Dale's picking on balanced dog trainers, I don't even hover the goal of this series, because you mentioned this, so I want to address that, because you say, well, you're not sure if that's the right way to address anything. Well, looking at what's happening in the dog training world, there's no real good way to address it at this level, right? Other than me I'm going to call it out, because here's the thing: the whole thing's going to be, if the Titanic's going down, then I'm absolutely going to talk about it.
He's going to let his selfish children get on the boat first,
and that's it. I mean, balanced dog trainers. I'm at a point now where the message I'm putting out is going to go on deaf ears for the most part, because
no one can understand what you're talking about.
Why do you think that's the case, though? Right? Because good messages resonate.
Well, there's a trade. Oh yeah, well, David, I agree, but there has to be a trade-off. Think what I'm saying. Like for you, because I'm saying that the process is not a learning-based exercise. Here's the inherent problems when you do it that way.
Extra force.
Based again on this counterfeit picture at a response level, right? So, but there's no wiggle room. So what I'm saying is, no, training is actually an intervention following the path of a intentional interaction-based method.
Sure. And
not like the dog.
What does
what
does that mean to you?
Mm-hmm.
What you just said, put that in explain exactly what that
articulate
means.
it.
How the
it's
frame
an intervention based on a, would you say, a conscious interactive approach or something like that?
How do you want to frame that up? Because I know it's challenging for anyone looking at my stuff to reconcile what I'm doing.
Well, it's a terminology that you're using that I think, same with you say a lot, what defines a process? People don't understand what defines a process, but what does what defines a process mean to you?
It's a power play, Dave. When you bring the core ingredients in, control, intentional control and influence, right? Based again on the dog's stinking thinking, as I call it, relationship problem already happening. Just like, a power play situation when a parent is going in, engaged, and getting the child's airspace differently, the selfish child, and the selfish child doesn't like it.
Sure.
Right? There's going to be some pushback.
You're putting
right?
demands on them. They're going to push back against
demands,
it. And the pushback generally is a lot of the problem, right?
Is but the pushback itself is part of the changing part of it.
Of course.
So when I talk about dogs, when you see me interacting with dogs, I talk about dogs is understanding the intent.
How is what he's saying. If you don't talk to them, you don't feed them, you don't reward them, you don't do anything, how do they understand the intent? Except you choke the shit out of them.
I'm interacting the same way pretty much all the time, different ways, but it's a type of language, as I call it. I don't.
What language are you using? I'm going to act the same way pretty much all the time, generally. I really got a headache, right? He just keeps repeating the same thing, it means something to somebody. I'm gonna say stinking thinking all the time. I don't who says this stuff?
You use commands, David, until 12 days.
No, you don't. You had a dog 1 hour in and you said nothing to the dog.
He's into a 14-day process. That'll blow people's minds because
that doesn't blow my mind.
Oh, wait. You only train for 2 weeks. You said that. You have a 2-week board and train.
It's a type of language, as I call it. like I don't even use commands, David, until like 12 days into a 14-day process. That'll blow people's minds because I understand about. It doesn't blow. Well, hey, listen, Dave. I'm not. Listen. You could, you could really maybe figure out a lot what I'm saying here today, perhaps, and really consider it. But here's the thing. Yeah. So perception of dogs, as perception of dogs change, then you start the commands take on different meaning, verbal, right? Because perception changes the dog towards the owner the right way.
We just watched him yesterday. He said he only has a 2-week board and train. So he doesn't even use commands till 14 days. So after the dog goes home, does he do, after his 2-week board and train, does he do in-home training then? Oh my God.
And then the interaction part of it, that diminishes. Understand that it's not like it will look very tyrannical though. Understand that when you see me interacting with dogs, right, it'll look tyrannical in some ways to someone looking on, right, that is kind of tied into this idea of things, saying, well, why doesn't Dale use treats? Like, that's a common objection. Why is he motivating dogs to respond that way? Because I understand the issues, the problems with
you
that.
want to make sure that the dog is being compliant to you, not
that's right.
not a fake working just
David,
for some sort of reward.
But the core ingredients have to be in the process, right? I keep bringing that up because that's important. It's like a demand on a child.
What are the core ingredients?
Yeah.
Influence and control.
So when you say influence and control, break that down for me. Do you mean like how you are applying said pressure or consequences or whatever?
So control, intentional control through the leash. So this is why dogs will kick up.
Yep. Right?
When you have a dog on the leash,
sure.
that's a point of connection.
Yes.
Control, like one of the videos you had, the dog was like, what? Like you didn't really dial in that way. The dog's out in front of the leash, right?
Sure.
So what I'm talking about is that element, that aspect has to be there. It's intentional control through the leash will start to, right away. That's why you get a dog right beside off leash, David. Freedom, free will, right? The dog is already in control, moving around for treats. One would assume that, oh well, that's great, you trust that, but really it's the same basis. Sure. Without demand on that dog, without controlling that dog, David, nothing's revealed.
Which I agree.
This is why dogs can hold an incredible amount of control in the home environment.
Sure.
Right? Just like I talk about selfish child can look great most of the day as they're playing their video games. But ask yourself the question, when do the moments of revelation happen to the parent, right, to reveal the bad attitude of the child?
Yes.
Right? Take the garbage out.
I'm with you.
Right? I mean, some of the stuff you just have to connect some dots here, but that's why intentional control through the leash, right? So it can be on leash, even without a leash, right? Your arm can be a point of connection through control, right? Leash is part of it.
Sure.
Okay. And so that process right away, the integrity of control itself through the crate is control, a muzzle's control, all right? So the leash is control, and then influence defined through the interactions themselves, Dave. So the influence part, this is the aspect, just like parental influence, and think of it like interpersonal, personal, right? Getting your hand on the dog. So even when I'm pushing on the dog, it's not about undue force. How I describe the dog coming into agreement with, it's like the tug of war team that collapses. You ever watch a tug of war team, David, that start to buckle? Well, those are the dynamics involved in agreeableness. And then the part of understanding the dog is actually things are changing. You'll see the head of the dog turn inwards towards me or whoever I'm working with, coming into a state of relaxation within those moments, David, as those ingredients are part of the interactions. So everything. This is why when I do a 2-week board and train, you can watch the 2-week board and train, David.
Okay.
I show all of it. I talk through all of it. And so people can understand what's going on, full transparency.
Okay, so 2-week board and train. So he doesn't start using commands until after his 2-week board and train. So then the dog goes home? Is that what he does in-home training? That's when he starts his commands?
Transparency, what's happening, nothing hidden here. Everyone can put everything I say to the test. But I always default back to, David, the dog training world. All the inherent problems I talk about, if you just line it all up. But here's the challenge, right? If you're already sold out, I'm not saying you are, sold out to this idea, it's very difficult, right, to kind of break free from this ideology because it requires a trade-off. Your messaging is going to be different. you're not going to be so popular, right? Because you're trying to light on the dog owner differently, Dave.
Yeah. I'm still.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's look at it this way, right? So you said control and influence, right? You said your first, what did you say? You don't give a command for 12 days or something like that. Is that what you said somewhere around there?
Once the perception of the dogs change.
Right. So basically equating that to what balanced dog trainers do, how is so you're asking them to be in agreement.
Well, yeah, the first week, like I said yesterday, the first week, the dog's getting acclimated to the sounds, the feels, the looks, the smell, everything that's going on in this new location. So the second week, I mean, he don't do that because he got the dog in an hour. He was forcing this dog to do shit, which is wild work to me. Because now you're training the dog in fear and uncertainty and all kinds of shit. I mean, I don't know. Whatever. This guy's weird. Usually good trainers let the dog get acclimated to its surrounding. It's more malleable. It's better to work with a dog that's like, okay, cool. Like the second week you have the dog, it's coming out of its shell. It's like this. It's no different than getting a fucking puppy. The first week you got the puppy, the puppy's the best puppy you ever fucking owned. The second week it's coming out of its shell. It's starting to, show its little personality, something like that. The third week that puppy is like, oh my God, I didn't realize this is the puppy. Unless you like go to a good breeder and the puppy, the breeder picture puppy and says, this is the type of puppy. If this is your lifestyle, if this is the puppy you're looking for, if this is your household dynamics, blah, 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 this is the puppy that you need because I raised this puppy and know this puppy's personality. I know this is what you need, blah, blah, blah. And, if you're a person that sits at home, watches Netflix and chills, this is the puppy that's not high drive, high whatever. This is a puppy that just kind of chills out and wants to hang out and snuggle and all that. Then that's the puppy that you should get. But if you just go and say, oh, well, this is the puppy I want, it's cute and it's all this and blah, 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 and that's the puppy that's going to tear up your furniture and eat your drywall, the third week, that's usually when you're going to notice that type of personality. The first week, you're not going to notice that.
To the physical pressure that you're putting on them, right? You're using a choke chain. I've seen in most of your videos, obviously, right? You're applying physical pressure onto the dog in order.
This guy right here looks like he's like, I don't even know what the fuck is happening right now. This guy right here, he's like, I'm not even sure I could keep up with this conversation. That'd be me. I'd be sitting there going, I wouldn't be able to sit here this quiet this whole time. I'd be like, what the fuck is happening right now?
And I know it's not about the sit or about the down or about the come command or any of those things, but you're using getting them into these physical positions to facilitate them being in agreement to the pressure that you're putting on them.
It's not about pressure.
The difference between this, though, like what you saw in the puppy, is that your breeder should know what you're looking for, what you have, because puppies have bad days just like people have bad days, right? So you may be looking for a specific type of personality, whatever. You could be going and looking for that. You may want to do agility. You may want to do search and rescue. You may want to do whatever. And so you're looking at a puppy that is like bouncing off the wall and has this high energy and doing all this stuff. And that may be that puppy that day. Or you could be one of those people that just like to chill out and watch YouTube and, watch Netflix or whatever, and just want a relaxed puppy that is just not going to be that puppy that needs to go, on mile long hikes and stuff like that. And so you see a puppy where all the other puppies are running around, acting all crazy and all this stuff. And then there's that puppy that's just laying there and chill and letting everybody run all over them. And it's just sleeping and chilling out and blah, blah, blah. But the problem is that puppy that's laying there chilling and doing all that day could just be having a down day, and maybe last night it ate too much food or whatever, and it's just chilling for that day. And then on the third week, you're going to see that puppy bouncing off the wall because its normal personality is to bounce off the wall and have so much drive and do all this shit. If your breeder told you, no, that puppy, don't normally act like that. That puppy is just chilling today because for whatever reason, or I gave shots last night. And so that puppy's just, feeling the effects of having shots or being dewormed or whatever the reason that puppy's acting that way. Your breeder would know that because your breeder's raising the puppies and knows that puppy's acting that way because of that incident, because whatever. And these puppies, you're looking for XYZ, these puppies fit that category. Not just one puppy, but, out of 10 puppies, maybe 3 puppies are meeting what you need for your lifestyle, your household, your whatever. So picking a puppy on what you saw from the puppies that day doesn't necessarily mean you're getting the puppy that you actually want, which is why all these puppies end up in fucking rescue and dropped off and all this crazy bullshit. Oh, yeah, I agree. But I'm just saying, that's why a lot of these puppies don't end up in the right homes because breeders aren't literally picking puppies for, not necessarily picking puppies for the buyers, but giving them an option to right, but I'm saying right, but that's what I'm saying. Picking puppies out of a group of puppies. Like anytime I'm selling puppies, I'll say I do a whole application thing, and I'm asking about your entire lifestyle. I'm asking everything about what you're looking for, what your lifestyle's like, how long are you home, like do you have kids, like all this stuff, like how many hours you work, like do you go out and party at night, do you hang out on the weekends, like all this stuff, because I'm trying to pick the puppy that best fits your lifestyle. And so out of your lifestyle, these puppies meet you. I don't show you, I may show you the whole litter, but I don't say this whole litter, pick your puppy. That's not how that works. And I haven't been wrong yet. So that's how I do it.
But here's the missing
pressure,
ingredient.
but it is pressure, right? You're using negative reinforcement.
Here's the difference between you and I. I'm dialed into the dog's state of mind.
Yeah. But in that case, you're using negative reinforcement. You're using pressure in order to get the dog to get. You want them to give way.
Control. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Intentional control.
Right. But it's negative reinforcement. Right.
You can call it whatever you want. Negative reinforcement. It's not working. Like the whole thing about the mindset of how you're trained, how you're engaging. So when you use like say negative reinforcement, you're alluding to this learning theory idea.
Yeah, but you're using negative reinforcement, right? And you're asking the dog to give way to the pressure that you're putting on them. So why is that different than me doing leash pressure on a pinch collar? Right?
Because
in our first week of our board and train, generally we're not giving commands. We're teaching the dog to become agreeant to the leash pressure, right?
Because it's interaction based at the beginning.
Yeah, but I'm interacting with the dog through the leash.
Not the way, it's not bringing in the right way, right level,
bringing it out in the
and
right
not dialed in the right way.
How?
It's not. It can't. It's impossible.
But explain.
Because you're motivating. Well, because influence is reactionary. You look at the physical. A lot of times, balanced dog trainers, they just want the physical manifestation of a response, right? You see this all the time in the videos when balanced dog trainers, not just yourself, are standing there, right, dealing with a relationship problem with the dog. They're standing there talking. You watch the Larry Crone video.
Yeah. And they're not stepping right in. I know that was your critique of the first video that I made. Yeah. The leash walking video was, you said in the first minute as I was talking to the camera, the dog was at the end of the leash and pulling around and stuff. And you said you should.
Well, the dog's head's pivoting.
Right on them right away. Right.
You're in the middle of a relationship problem. Why wouldn't you be dialed in? Why wouldn't you make the connection between mind and body, Dave?
Yep. So let me push back on
that. That's absent in balanced dog training. That's totally absent.
So listen, right? So one of your critiques that I've seen you make towards myself and towards others is that at the beginning of a lot of the videos, we're talking and we're not dialed into the relation, right? We're not dialed into the relationship. We're not communicating with the dog right away, et cetera, right? So there's a couple reasons why I think that we do that. And I think that they're all very fair reasons, right? So thing number one, right? In the case of most of those videos, it's the first time we met those dogs. Those dogs have been having a relationship problem with people for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, right? And right off the rip, before I actually start working with the dog, I want to explain the process of what I'm going to do. This is when we're making content, right? If I take a dog out of a crate right away, that's in my board and train kennel, immediately I'm communicating with them, right? I'm not waiting and having a conversation before it. I'm communicating with them right away. But for the sake of making content, I'm going to explain to the people that I want to watch the video exactly what I'm going to do and exactly why it's going to alter the relationship that I ultimately have with the dog, right? And the reason why I don't see that as problematic is if the dog has been rehearsing having toxic relationships with people for the last 1 to 7 years, what's another minute and 30 seconds of them rehearsing it before I start communicating?
I'll tell you why that's significant, because that's why I stopped. You talk about why I only did a minute 30, why that was a problem to me, is because it's just like a parent-child relationship. It's the moment of contact. So once you're dialed into what, in terms of depth of relationship, the relationship itself, the dog's state of mind, control manifesting, right? Immediately, when you walk in, right, the whole theme of everything is to shine the spotlight onto, interrupt those states of mind right away. Okay, here's the example. It'd be like me, in terms of parenting example, walking in to a selfish child situation and telling the parent, yeah, show me. Let's have John. I know Johnny is a brat and he's has a major problem with video games. Let's let him get on the video games for 5 minutes. I want to see him explode, and then we'll deal with it. Just like you have to think about that. Yeah,
but you're looking at it. You're looking at it from the wrong lens. You're looking at it from the standpoint of we want to see the dog's problematic behavior, as opposed to I want to see how the owner is currently handling.
Right.
Because you're focused at a physical level, not
I'm
the
focused
mind
on the
body.
owner. I'm not even focused on the dog.
No, love it, David. You watch the videos. Why it's physical. The sit. That's why the dog is in a sit position. Dog controls manifesting. You're telling the owner to put the dog into a down. The dog's not having it. There's all sorts of examples of that with not just yourself.
Yes, because I wanted to see how
right?
the
So does he not believe in training the human? It's all about the dog.
This is why
you do it, right?
Yeah. So you asked me a question.
I don't understand. He's all over the place.
Then why would it's like, oh, show me. No, it's about change.
What you're doing.
If your dog, it's like being fully embracing.
Don't you need to
the
know
right
what they're
stuff.
doing incorrect in order to show them how to?
No, it's about dialing them in. Say, this is what your role is. This is the role. These are the core ingredients coming online right now.
Wait, no. I need to know what you're doing wrong so I can correct your behavior and show you how to do it better.
Wow. You understand? There's no way because that's fulfillment to the dog. You understand that?
But they've been getting fulfilled for the last 7 years.
So it doesn't matter. Don't
another minute.
Don't make excuses for it, David.
What's another? No, seriously.
What's the right way?
Yeah, but in order to really connect with an owner and get them to understand what, like you said, not the blame on the dog.
Right, because how is the owner going to know to fix their own mistakes if they themselves don't know what they're doing wrong? Like, I'm just going to walk in their house and say, this is how you train, this is how you train, this is how you train. And so they go to do it. I don't know what they've done prior to this point, how they're holding the leash, how they're walking the dog, what they're doing, what they're allowing their dog to do, whatever, blah, 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 what their issues are. If I can't see them doing and saying, okay, this is correct, but this is what you need to do to fix this other thing or to do this, 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 and this. When you're watching someone, it's all about training. A lot of training is training the person to train their dog. So if I can't see what they're doing and how to help them fix their own issue, they're just going to go back to going back to what they've already done, their muscle memory of, well, this is how I was doing it. But if I don't know what they were doing, I can't show them how to fix what they were doing.
But the blame on them and what they're doing incorrect, I need to be able to clearly articulate to them all of the things that they are doing incorrect. And in a lot of cases,
why, like David, that's why I sit down with dog owners before I even do hands-on. The dog's in the crate.
Yeah.
But if
you haven't
that's why I say that.
But if they don't have the dog in front of them, how do I know what they're doing? It's no different than when I teach someone to pop a lead or something like that. If they're not doing it in front of me, it's really difficult. Like, I can do a lot of training online, right? Like, this is the hard thing about online courses or even doing video chats and stuff like that. It's so much easier to just say, okay, meet up somewhere so that I can show you how to hold the leash, how to properly pop the leash, different things like that, because sometimes they need to feel with their own hand that me taking their hand and showing them just how to pop a lead so that they understand what the feeling is, because sometimes people will pull the lead versus just pop the lead slightly. Like, sometimes being there, seeing how they're doing something or whatever, they need that extra. It's no different than taping ears and different things like that. Like, you can get people, when I'm doing taping ears and stuff like that, I can show them how to do all that stuff, but sometimes they'll tape them too tight or not tight enough, whatever, because they don't want to hurt the ear or whatever, or they'll tape them too tight and it's like, oh, you're going to get the tips too swollen or whatever. So, like, sometimes just being there in person, I have to see what they're doing and feel what they're doing so that they understand. Right. I mean, like, does he not understand that you have to train an owner to be able to train their dog? Oh, no, wait, sorry. The dog's not allowed to think.
Rehearse the behavior.
That's why I sit down. That's why I sit down with the dog owner first, just me and them, David, without engaging the dog first. Because when I engage that dog, immediately, I want them thinking the right way. I want those core ingredients online. Change is happening. If you watch the Larry Crone video, and just watch that video where he's at a seminar.
I know which one you're talking
He's over there talking to the audience. But I'm just saying these are your fellow balanced dog trainers here I'm talking. So he's over there talking to the lady, right? And we talk about finding the working level of and this plays into this issue about finding the working level of a remote collar. The dog is lunging forward, control's manifesting. It's going on for minutes. And then suddenly you start pushing that button. Well, guess what? You got to juice that collar up to like a lot because it's not proactive. It's not intercepting at the level where control's already manifesting. You're dealing with a relationship problem. That's an aggressive dog, right? And so, it's about, and that's the same example because guess what I would be doing different? Because this is what you're asking. I'd be over there with that dog owner before she even came out of that half door to start to nudge that dog, to start to change the focus of that dog the right way, influence being proactive. That changes everything, right? But you ask this question as to, okay, why would this be a problem? Well, it's a problem at many levels because if those core ingredients are not brought into the process, is not coming online. This is why you got all these inherent problems in the dog training world. Dogs being blame shifted. Remote collars can't get these devices off the dog. All these excuses these trainers are making. Meanwhile, they sell this because guess what? It plays into people's emotions. You get the pet all over your dog. How great is that? It's totally corrupted based on this idea. And meanwhile, again, balanced dog trainers, this is where you talk about the big picture now, where this is all headed, losing your tools. Force-free movement taking over, right?
Yeah,
and then you're sitting back saying, well, life is...
But Dale, no, you're saying that in a way as if we did something different, that wouldn't happen. And you already said multiple times that there's nothing that anybody could do that's going to stop
it. Right. What? Not all dogs are aggressive, but even an aggressive dog, there's no room. I mean... This guy is wild.
From happening. So you're using that as ammunition right now, but it's ammunition when there's no alternative.
I'm just being real with it.
Yeah, but that's not being real when you're saying what you're doing right now is the reason why this is happening, but there's nothing else that you could do that's going to stop it from happening. How is that being real?
No, because you're sitting here defending balanced dog training. I'm defending
the way no. And this is where you keep going back to like my peers, like Larry Crone. Like I've got 2 videos you could watch of all of my issues with the things that Larry Crone does, right? Like I've got issues with Larry Crone as well.
But does it?
I'm talking about my.
No, I think that people have issues with all kinds of things. I think every trainer has issues with almost every trainer, right? Because we will all look at dogs and train the dog in front of us and try different things and think that there's different ways that we can do each thing. I'm sure that people look at me and go, there's ways that you can do that. Not every dog works this way, blah, 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 blah. Because we all have different ways and different methods that we would train different dogs and all kinds of stuff. And like we would look at different dogs. I sure the fuck wouldn't choke a dog up every fucking time and not let them think and not let them have a brain. And I'm sure if everybody put everything online that everybody was doing, this is where you run into these problems and say, but if you sit there and say, I'm an expert at doing this, you better damn well be an expert of doing this. I mean, like when you start claiming that you're an expert at everything that you do, you're going to get people that have opinions and say, well, you know, I don't agree with this and I do agree with this and I do that, but you better have a thick skin and better have, you know, because people have a right to say, well, I don't agree with this and I, you know, what the hell are you talking about? But you better be able to articulate what you're doing. Exactly. There's many ways to deal with a lot of things. And people are going to have opinions about the way that you're talking, about the way that you're doing things. And people are going to agree with this and people are going to agree with that. And depending on what venue you're in, people are going to say, oh yeah, that's a good, I like that idea. I like this idea. And that's why there is no regulation on dog training, because there's no certain way to train a dog. He doesn't believe in the 4 quadrants. No, he doesn't believe that anyone can say anything about him, but he can say anything about anyone. Exactly. That's what's so weird. Yeah. It's wild.
I know that, but does it actually call it the real issue the way I'm doing, David?
Well, it depends what the real issue is.
Well, the training is not a learning-based exercise.
Yes,
it follows the path of the intervention. That those core ingredients have to be there the way that they're there. So it changes everything.
So
it calls it out.
Okay, so
because you're probably like, Dale, I use clicker train. Like these are all these trainers saying, oh, we're like everything to everybody, right? Playing all sides of the fence here, and then you're wondering why you're losing the war on your tools. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so. You keep using the losing, you wonder why you're losing the tools, right? Is implying that there is a way to not lose the tools.
There is a way, that's right.
What's the way?
What's
the way to not lose the tools?
It's getting the process right. It's understanding what defines a process. It's reconciling, say it's not a learning-based exercise.
And that will magically make the tools not be lost.
No.
You can slam down guys like Zach George right away because it's going to provide clarity, not just to the owner and the dog, but clarity to the public, right? As to, okay, this is a process. It's not learning-based.
How? Explain it.
How do you use the tool in a non-learning based exercise? How do you use the tool in a way that's a non-learning based, like approaching training as a non-learning based exercise? So for example, I watched one of your videos where you had a pit bull that was in for a board and train, and the dog had just got there and the dog was in the kennel and you had an e-collar on the dog.
Right.
And again, I don't have an issue with any of this, right? But you had an e-collar on the dog had just got there, and you said you were using the e-collar to intercept the dog's state of mind while he was in the crate. Right. So absolutely. You're correct. So I think a lot of the issue we have here right now, as far as where we're disagreeing with things, has little to do with what you're talking.
Day 1, hour 1. We watched it yesterday. It was day 1, hour 1. And the lady got it from a rescue. So you know it didn't need a damn e-collar.
Talking about, which is how we're approaching the training from the learning-based exercise. And it is more to do at what point do we provide the consequences. And I feel like you use a lot of this terminology like intercept, nudge, interrupt, as opposed, and you say like, I don't do corrections, I nudge or intercept or this or that. Well, those are all corrections. And correction to me, because I like to have clear definitions to things, is you're incorporating positive punishment in order to stop something. In this case, instead of you stopping a physical choice like I would choose to do, you're trying to stop the thought that leads to the choice. Right. So it feels like to me the only debate here, which this one, this is really what I wanted to get to, is not debate which one's better, but is that you want to be more proactive and you want to correct the thought leading to the choice, where I say that the thought is irrelevant. It's the actual choice that matters. And as they learn to make the correct choice, the thinking shifts to meet that.
Yeah.
Well, you're in a catch-22 there because, again, through force free training, right, it's all about choices that way. Right, it's all about motivating dogs to respond.
Explain yours, not somebody else's theory.
That way, so you're in a trap. Because then
why is that a trap?
Because it calls into question the role of influence. Well, how's it defined through that process itself? All right, because the same thing happened with Jamie Penrith going on Good Morning Britain saying, well, you don't need to use these tools that way. It's about choices that way. It's about motivating dogs to respond that way, right?
Sure. Okay. Let me clarify. I get where you're going with this.
I don't know if you understand that or not.
No. I understand where you're going with this. So to clarify, what I care about is that the dog understands that they have to make the correct choice, regardless of if they want to or not.
And he allows them to make that choice. That's what training is. He allows them to make that choice. Dale doesn't want them to ever make a choice on their own.
Which is where that would go against. So what I care, so to clarify, right? It's not just the choice. It's the fact that the dog understands that they have to make that choice regardless of if they want to or not.
That's right.
So did we just come to, so that is my approach to training, is that the dog understands that whatever it is that I need for them to do, right? That they have to do that thing, whether they want to do that thing or not.
No, but the problem is the core ingredients I talked about, influence and control, are not coming in at the right way.
But help me understand the difference. So the difference right now, like I said, is you choose to proactively correct the thought of making the choice. I choose to correct for simply making the incorrect choice. That.
Oh my God. If I gotta someone chase a rabbit, I might catch them, and the rabbit runs. No, a few times catching. Notice the rabbit, but I don't keep the dog. Right. I get what you're saying. I know what you're going to say. It the correction. Right, and that's allowing free thought and training the dog to not chase the rabbit. Right. That guy stops them before they even look at the rabbit. They're not allowed to look at the rabbit. He wants total. He's a narcissist. Okay, so we're at 1 hour and 29 minutes. I have to go. I will finish this tomorrow. Come on in. I'll come on earlier tomorrow and finish this tomorrow. And we'll finish this up and do some other stuff tomorrow. But like weeks down the line, there's no problem. I see it as guidance. Right. You're helping them make a better choice. Right. Anyway, I'll finish this up tomorrow. We'll do part 2. And then, yeah, I appreciate you coming on and hanging with me. Yeah, we'll finish this up tomorrow and then we'll do some other stuff. But it was fun. I mean, yeah. You're right. Me too. But I appreciate you hanging with me today. But yeah, we'll do a part 2 tomorrow and then we'll do some other stuff. But I'll come on earlier. Anyway. All right. Talk to you later. Till next time.
Man, club just a system, but the deck's set to fail. You speak for transparency, they call it a crime. Next day, you suspended for 6 months of your time. Pedigree, politics, trophies on the wall. Vanity awards while the ethics take a fall. They say it's for the free, but we know what it is. Power in the clubhouse, silence in the pit. Pedigree, politics, ribbons and lies. Smiles at the banquet, but the truth in disguise. You can muzzle the voice, but the truth don't quit. Dog show, kingdom built on counterfeit grit.